just coming in on Saturday morning and working on TTRPG stuff. Not necessarily any one particular game on the schedule. It'll just be like, I'll say in the description or at the beginning, like what I'm going to be talking about. And if anybody has any spoilers, they could be like, hey, I don't want to stick around for this, and that's fine. But if you're awake and you are looking for someone to do TTRPG prep with in the background on a Saturday morning, that's what I'm doing here, and that's what I kind of hoping for, because I got spoiled real hard. I prepped real hard for Curse of Strahd. I had pretty much 90% of the world done or more, thanks to Benio's maps and so many other incredible content creators. And so having that all prepped, and then being very strict about running Outlaws Alkenstar as close to the adventure as possible, Paizo creating a very quality product for the Foundry VTT space, I didn't really have a lot of prep to do. Once that was all set up, and I ran 3 Curse of Strahd games and 2 Outlaws Alkenstar games concurrently, and the prep streams were often like, what are we doing tonight? Hey, that's fun. And it was kind of a nice feeling to just show up and talk about what had happened last time and what we were going to do this time. And that was the prep stream. I wasn't like prepping the game, I was prepping myself. But that habit has been detrimental entering these new campaigns, especially Skyhaven, because I was just creatively ignited by my love of just pirates and pirate games, and I don't have time to play Sea of Thieves anymore, but I miss that. I miss the Skull and Shackles game and the vibes from that game, and I was into the idea of the Kingmaker exploration and building your strength over a long campaign and different warring factions and stuff like that. And I did manage to put together just a really great group for Skyhaven, and we're all really enjoying it. But man, it's a lot of prep when you're not used to prepping anymore. And so it's a big source of stress in my life, that campaign, even though I love it, because I just never feel like I have everything prepped. And how could you, right? How could you ever have 3 hex maps worth of content prepped? Like it's impossible in the VTT space. So I'm trying to use these Saturday mornings to figure out techniques, right, that can help me be better prepared for that. And then one of the other things is I want to use them to kind of touch on older projects and side projects that it's hard to find the time for. And so that's why this morning I got Mr. V with me, and he has been working on a project for over a year, right?
For Odyssey?
For Odyssey, And you had talked to me about it, and I was like, I mean, that sounds awesome. I'd love to help out with that. And the only help that I have provided is just throwing all of my notes at you that I could find, which I hope has been helpful, but I definitely want to be able to help a little bit more. So you and I are going to talk about this morning, and then you're going to give me you said you had a PowerPoint presentation already? I'm ready for this.
Yeah. Just some basic slides.
Right.
But I would like to piggyback off your Curse of Strahd comments, because I had a very similar experience running Legends of Barovia, which is Pyram King's version of Curse of Strahd. And so I paid like $5 to get access to his premium modules and stuff. And he has the full Foundry VTT maps. And legitimately, I don't have to read the original module to play. I put on his video on YouTube the day before a session, listen to his, lore dump explanation of the location, and then just load it into the map, just got my players there, and I'm good to go. And that is so different. That is such a different and freeing experience to like prepping homebrew, prepping one shots. Like when you talked about like finding time to like prep Skyhaven and everything, I'm like, I'm here for the streams, and you're spending a lot of time and a lot of energy doing these things. And like having existing content, whether it's maps before, like I think back to you running Odyssey and how long you spent developing the Tower of Praxis and rewriting.
Oh my God, yeah, right?
That entire thing, right? And I'm just like, well, I never want to do that. I want, right? Like,
yeah,
I enjoy it and I think it's great, but I think at the same time, you're the presenter of the campaign, and if the developers, so in this case Arcanum Worlds for Odyssey, like aren't enabling us to like run the campaigns at that level, that's really putting a lot of undue strain on us as like people running the games.
Oh yeah,
that's my thought on it.
Well, there was that recent 5e adventure that was it was like the Egyptian one with the gnolls. Egyptian campaign, and it had pretty big Odyssey vibes to it too. Let me see if I can find them. Let's see.
The kind of meso.
Yeah, Hint is the one who showed it to me. Let's see, Egyptian Fantasy Knoll campaign homebrew. It was like, gosh, it's gonna drive me crazy. Sands of Doom. There it is.
Oh yes.
So Sands of Doom, the way that he has it written, every encounter references anything else in the adventure that's relevant to that encounter in that encounter, even if it's redundant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's huge. It also has, for every encounter, scaling up and scaling down options for every encounter. And that's throughout the entire. Yeah. Well, it's like, you need this encounter to be harder, you need this encounter to be easier. And like, so they has that for every single encounter. So everything just kind of says like, this is how this fits with everything else, and this is how you can make it work for your group in the state that they're currently in right now. Because like every group is different. My level 4 Sands of Doom group can already dish out, I would say, 250 damage a round. 5 characters.
Yeah.
250 damage a round. My level 5 Skyhaven party, 6 players, could barely do 50 damage a round. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the Pathfinder allows such a, and D&D and 5e and all systems. They allow such a diversity of groups. So like having that ability to adapt the encounters is huge. I would say one step further would to be just straight up say non-combat solution. And if they're crazed undead, right? You say none, right? But even then, you might say, for Crazed Undead, you might say, characters can attempt the skill challenge. Each success deals such damage to all undead in the encounter, blah, 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 right? Like, so you could start kind of like adapting to every type of group, like a skill-based group, a combat-based group, a defense-based group. You could do that. And in a written adventure could be providing a bit more guidance in that way also. But like, comparing something like Sands of Doom, which has learned from and built on the mistakes of 50 years of TTRPGs or whatever, and they didn't have to do that. So it is an achievement, it's an accomplishment to look at the past and look at those that came before you and make that better, right? It's a tremendous work. It's a tremendous work, and I would run it if I had any time at all, because I do think Sands of Doom is a phenomenal product. Hashtag not sponsored, but but my heart, if I was ever to say, best campaign I've ever run, best 5e I've ever run, that kind of thing, like what was the most epic, over the top, like emotional thing I've ever run, it was definitely Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Especially for me, because I didn't know at the time, but I've had dyslexia my whole life, and so that was a chunk book, right? It's like 580 pages or something, and it was hard for me to read, and so I had to read it out loud to myself. I had to take notes like I was in college. I had several notebooks full of notes, and I feel like that forced me to connect with the book and the story and the plot in a deeper way than if I had just been able to read it. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't just read it. It was too big for me to just read it. I had to like study it.
Parse it up.
Yeah, exactly. And as you're studying it and your nose is right against it, you're looking so close at it, and it's like, what is going on? You know what I mean?
And I think you did what a lot of really talented DMs in Curse of Strahd and content creators have done, is they made connections in the modules with related things that the developers didn't think about, right? And like really enhanced the lore and the rationality behind the module. Because when you think of it from a publisher perspective, they want like the cool content, shock value, you know, the interesting encounters that sells.
Right.
And you as a game master, even though it's like the DM's guide, right? You want to understand the world at a more fundamental level a lot of the time. Like you want to understand how the Oath of Peace works in Odyssey of the Dragonlords. Like I see that
would have been nice. Yeah, that would have been
like
cool.
All the time. And like the module isn't going to tell you how how it works. Right? Like it just tells you that it exists and that like there's some rules about like they can't fight, but spoilers for Odyssey, but like Sidon can still send armies to like gates and pressure people into doing things. Like you really have to piece the puzzle back together about what's allowed and not allowed after reading the whole module for stuff like that, which to me is just like not what I need. Because I have players that will often ask questions that are above the table. In terms of like, how does this work? And if I don't know the lore and like have a good rationality behind the ideas of the campaign, that can be really challenging to run into like conflicting or contradicting ideas.
Exactly. Even in a short adventure like Outlaws of Alkenstar, which the plot is so hollow that I don't have any guilt if I accidentally spoil anything from it because it's so bad. It's just terrible. It was like when we're prepping it and we're reading it, we're like, man, that's cool. That's a cool thing. Oh, this is another cool thing. Doesn't make any sense, but it's cool. And it's like, oh, look at this cool NPC. Oh, they died. I was like, okay. Yeah. Well, oh shit. Now we're doing this cool thing for some reason. And it was just like, I was thinking, Josh Butler, he's in my life, he is the Pathfinder kid, right? He is the friend who found Christ, you know what I'm saying, and won't stop talking about him. And but in a positive way where you're happy for him, you know what I'm saying? Like Josh, he never shits on like what you like, right? But he will not stop telling you what he likes, and what he likes is Pathfinder too. You know what I mean? Like he's much like there is a perfect Christian, right? There's a perfect Pathfinder kid, and Josh Butler is the perfect Pathfinder kid in my heart, right? And he and I talk about the quality of the Pathfinder adventures, Pathfinder 2 specifically, being better than the best 5e adventure, and the two best 5e adventures still being Curse of Strahd and Odyssey of the Dragonlord. And he said in the same way that they're at that same level, they still don't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like there's a theme, right? And then there's a checklist after that. They're like, gotta have some NPCs. Check. All right, we did it. All right, gotta have a bad guy. Check. Okay, we gotta have dungeons. Yeah. Okay. All right, put some dungeons in there. A dragon. Okay. Yeah. It looks good. And then they send it to print. Yeah. And it's like at no point does it feel like anything ever got sewn together. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a lot of great ideas, and then they threw them in there like a modern Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Like and they even try to do like Easter eggs in their own universe. They're like, check it out, this NPC from this other thing that your players don't know. You don't know about it either, do you? Anyways, here it is. And it's like, okay, that's kind of neat. Do they play a major role in the game at all? Nope.
Yeah.
Why did you put him there? Because it's cool, right? Like a Marvel movie. And it's like, no, it sucks. It's fucking terrible. So yeah, you have it right there. Like, it depends on the level of engagement and investment and like what your group wants. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of I used to hear this all the time when people were getting into Dungeons and Dragons, and the rules heavy groups were like so upset about the adventure zone and the critical role kids, right? And they're like, the theater kids, they're just coming in and they're just having gay romance imagination time together. They're not really playing the game, right? And then people are like, it's a game. Different people are going to play it different ways. Different people are going to have fun. You know what I mean? And I've talked to people about campaigns, and like Kingmaker, right? Kingmaker to me has this incredible potential to be, I don't want to sound like a Hollywood executive right now, but better than Game of Thrones. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, better than the next Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I would feel when I was like reading it and prepping it and stuff like that. But I talk to people and they're like, yeah, we gave up on the kingdom building like one kingdom turn in. And so, I just run them through the linear encounters in the book. And I'm like, and you guys are okay with that? And they're like, yeah, we're like a beer and pretzels group. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just there to like hang out with each other and like roll dice. And I'm like, oh, okay. And no one's going to like to hear this, but I think most groups are like that. I think most groups are just there for some human interaction and maybe some collaborative puzzle solving, but mostly just to be silly and, roll dice, see big number, like maybe see cool monster, feel strong, superhero fantasy, that. And do you really, and superhero fantasy, Marvel movie, do you really need a good plot for a beer and pretzel superhero fantasy group? Probably not.
Nah.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say is that what I took inspiration from watching both Prime and Mythic Odyssey is that during your playthroughs and when your players would say things, or like be engaging with stuff, you realize like when your players were forgetting things their characters would know. And be like, this is maybe some relevant information, because I think like Phil and Hypatia and the gang there really did buy into the world and probably were talking about the campaign like every day in the Discord. But I've noticed in my Curse of Strahd campaign, my players forget things that their characters 100% would know. Like, they're a bit more on that beer and pretzel side of things.
Yeah.
And I don't want, like, they love the lore of the world and stuff, but if my players are at that level, I think it's really important that I don't spend too much time, fanning and fawing over every lore detail and, like, internal logic consistency in Curse of Strahd, when, like, they won't realize the payoffs when they happen, unless they're reminded of it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. My Tuesday group, one of the best groups I've run for in my entire life. They're friends from, I guess, early college, high school days. Stayed friends into adulthood. And it's very, they fought it as children. They grew up and they killed it as adults. They got that kind of bond going. And but it is very much a beer and pretzels game. Like, I gave them like options of what, we could play together, and they, I told them like, so 7 Dooms for Sandpoint, it's like Dungeon Town. So you're in town just long enough to go back to the dungeon. You're just doing dungeons. And they're like, that's what we want. That's what we want. We just want to smash shit. We just want to hang out and get smashed and smash shit. That's all we want. And reading through 7 Dooms for Sandpoint, I was like, well, good, because that's all this is delivering. And like, I've been struggling to make the plot make enough sense for me. Like, I don't think they're gonna care. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're definitely of the mindset that is perfect for a Pathfinder module. where I can be like, and now go here, and they're like, okay, and I'm like, and now fight this. It fights to the death, and they're like, hell yeah, I didn't want any moral quandaries. And then I'm like, cool, now go here, and they're like, I'm gonna kill it. I'm like, good, it fights to the death. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're after, and that's what they're getting. It's a perfect mix. It's a perfect matchup. You know,
I had to do that in Curse of Strahd. Like I was like, oh, like these people are now running away, and they're like, no, we don't accept runner aways.
Yeah,
like, yeah, we're giving chase, and I'm just like, oh, but it's off the battle map, or like that werewolf with the personalities off the battle map. We're going after him. I'm like, okay, like,
yeah,
you guys are like one of my characters was literally called like the pyromancer because he would like burn down houses like and stuff. And my party was way too strong for Curse of Strahd to really. It's more epic fantasy than gothic horror. They like a lot of the players are well optimized, and in order for the newer D&D players not to get left behind, I like boosted their characters in ways by like, you know, giving items or various start gifts. But yeah, I think knowing your players and your audience is really important. But also I have to recognize that like me as the one running the campaign, I need to have fun too.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. Matt Colville did a video about that, you know, about knowing the group, right? Knowing what the group is after. And then you have to decide if what they want is different than what you want. Are you still able as the DM to find joy in the campaign? Otherwise you're going to be miserable. You know what I'm saying? Like if you wanted them to befriend all the NPCs and add them to B team, if you wanted them to go through some like moral growth and deal with moral quandaries, and they're just like murder hobo, you're gonna have a bad time, right? If you've invested so much of yourself into the world and none of that investment is paying out at all, you're gonna feel cheated a little bit. You know what I mean? And so that's hard because sometimes you don't know how the group is going to act until the campaign gets going. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of conversation that can happen in the advertising of the game, the discussion, you know, pre-game discussion, pre-campaign discussion, session 0, that sort of thing. But I mean, human beings, right? They're organic, in a group of human beings. It's an organic, collaborative experience, and the vibes at the table might start to gravitate towards murder hobo. When we played in Dom's game in Icewind Dale or whatever, right? I feel like we started off with the attitude of like, you know, we're gonna be open-minded, we're gonna see what people are about or whatever. But so many of the encounters just felt like, you know, you gotta fight. And so you start to kind of feel like, what's the payout? Like, what's the payoff of like not fighting, right? Like, and these Pathfinder game like campaigns as written, I mean, 1 in 10 tops, there's like an encounter where they're like, well, if the PCs are clever, they'll try to talk this person down with a such and such check. And it's like, okay, well, unless we straight up tell them that they could do that, we have been conditioning these people from birth to be murder hobos. So like,
I was just about to say, like if you don't reinforce the behavior of like talking to people gives an advantage, then like, and especially if you punish them, if you're like, oh, you try talking to these people, oh, a group of archers flanked up beside you and now they have a surprise round on you because you tried to chat up these people.
Or just literal Pathfinder 2e rules that talking to someone is a manipulate action and you get opportunity attacked for it. Yeah, it's just like, damn. So it is important. But looking at Odyssey, right? As written, would you say as written with no edits, no homebrew, no changes at all? Just run raw dogging straight out of the book. Would it be enough to satisfy a beer and pretzels group from start to finish?
I think yes, if you run it like D&V Tubers runs their games. They were in Astoria within 5 sessions, like, and they're just like flying by the seat of their pants. I was watching this I'm not sure if you're aware of this like group or whatever, but it's like a smaller channel with like 1.6 thousand subscribers.
It's called D and VTuber?
D and VTubers here.
Okay.
Yeah, you got
the link. Yeah, they're definitely fighting the algorithm because YouTube's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, could be anybody.
Yeah. But like these people, like I just remember like them playing through, and it would be like, oh, yep, and now this happens. Oh, you guys are here. Your guys are now off to the Oracle. And like it very much so felt like a bit more railroad-y.
Oh, and now this, and now this. Yeah.
And so like
I've heard about groups like that. When you hear about groups that are like, yeah, well, we finally, I hate when people say finally, and it's been like 5 minutes. It seems to be the trend on the internet right now. We finally finished our Odyssey of the Dragonlords game. It took 30 sessions. You're like, what? Yeah. We finally finished Curse of Strahd. That was the hardest 22 sessions I've ever GM'd. And you're like, what?
They got through the Mithril Mines in like a session and a half, probably under that. Like watching their live action campaign, I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, I'm just in shock at how quickly things are moving all the time. And they have like a large centaur-like character as well, so that's often a great point of humor. But I will say, like, there are people that play that way, and I think that it's okay to run like raw dog Odyssey, because I've seen people like do Curse of Strahd campaigns where they just run the module like as is, right? So I think you could do Odyssey, but I think that wouldn't be the campaign I would want to be in a player. Like, if I were a player in that Odyssey campaign, I'd probably be gone by the third session, because I'm just like the player guide, the lore, like I just love it all. And so I think it's just better set as a slower campaign. Do you want to like pull up my slides and just go through them? Well,
you can send me links to slides, or you could present via Discord, and I could watch your presentation.
Yeah, I am streaming it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right.
Discord, if that works.
All right. Wait, has this been part of your thing the whole time?
I've had this open the whole time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But I'm just sitting on the front front page here, anyways.
All right, yeah. We're getting so distracted and off topic, but I want to see this. Hold on. Yeah. Watch stream. There we go. And pop it out and bring it over. All right, I'm ready.
You're good.
Yes.
I'm just waiting for the stream to catch up here, unless my screen.
I'm leaning back in my chair. I got my can of Japanese coffee. Sadly, not Georgia brand. It's Boss brand, but that's all the supplier near me has, and I'm ready. I'm ready to listen to this presentation.
Very good. So thinking about like what I want to accomplish, I want to definitely prepare to run the campaign. I've got a group lined up for the spring after my Curse of Strahd campaigns, so I'm going to be building out the maps in Foundry VTT or grabbing things anyways. As with your notes, I think it's enjoyable to develop and share my ideas, to get back to the Odyssey community, which I just love. And then, you know how there's like Demetria revamped as like the signature like Odyssey thing that gets talked about?
Yes, but I haven't really read it. Isn't that where they have to go fight like a satyr because he like corrupted something, like as a boss satyr, like nightmare guy or something?
I think there's a better Curse of Strahd example where it's like Curse of Strahd revamped or something, where there's like this like signature homebrew version of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of thinking, you know, depending on what you want as your contribution there to this project, as you've already given so much, there's a lot of opportunities here for like Patreon like content or YouTube videos. And so that's kind of more of what the later slides go into, like what's kind of been done and what would be the model to do this if it was like something that like I want to like, or like you want to monetize and I want to support. Because because I haven't run Odyssey yet, right? So for me, I'm doing
like the thing you mentioned at the beginning, where you just have to listen to the video, and then they say like, okay, so coming up is this, and this is this, and this is that. This might happen here, and remember that thing. It's going to be important here now, and these are the epic paths that need to be touched on. Don't forget them, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly, that type of thing. And so I listened to Pyram King. So in this video here, I went through everything. So if you look here, he has like this. If you see the sections of the YouTube video, he's like this first section where he talks about the lore, he talks about the important NPCs, how this links into the larger world, and then he goes through the location, right? So this is Argynvostold. He's going through like the various floors, what's on it, what's in each room. It's just so easy to listen to. Like, I just go to bed with my headphones on, listen through this like hour-long video, and I'm good to run the thing the next day, right? Mm-hmm. So this was kind of like my idea of like, this is work to edit, make a YouTube video. But I think that's the type of thing I would want to do anyways if I'm making the Foundry VTT map.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of looked at what Odyssey content is already out there to be like, has someone done this already, right?
Right.
Right now, mainly it's just Love Maps doing all the maps for Odyssey. I'm sure you've seen him either in the Discord or on Reddit. If you don't know this, he's like going through all the locations. I think he just finished the Ultros, but he's been going through like all that. And if you go to his Patreon, he's got Foundry VTT versions that you can like pay to get access to.
Wow. Yeah, Amazon Prison, Fire Island. Wow, Fire Island actually real thematic. Got that fiery texture all through it.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's like the most like paid version I've seen, in addition to like what you've kind of got set up. Like, you have a lot of guide content, but it's nothing like one-to-one maps or anything.
Yeah,
or like
absolutely.
Foundry
Wow,
VTTs.
Temple of Etheria.
Yep.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. It's amazing, right? And so in addition, there's also like in the Discord group, epic paths and lore revisions. There's stat blocks for custom monsters. There's added adventures and that type of thing. But there's no real good compiled narrative story to help prep a dungeon master, in my mind. Like, in my mind, if you're a DM wanting to run this campaign, you've got to read the module. And that's why I think the Pyram King example of how he does his content, where he makes the YouTube video, it's free, and then he kind of puts behind it the Foundry VTT versions with the maps, the actors, the journal notes, the items, everything behind paid content, is such a great model. Just like as a note. So I think if I were to do this, like, that's probably what I would want to do. I think you would probably be the better presenter than me. But that's kind of just what I've thought is like the most interesting way I would approach this, because I'm doing the prep anyways for the next campaign.
Yeah, no, this is incredible. Like, I haven't actually, I never really go. Like, if somebody tags me in the Odyssey community, I'll rise from my tomb, and be like, "Well, what's going on? Oh, you another person that wants the praxis stuff? Okay." That's like, then I leave. Oof. But it got to the point where Odyssey had become such a defining aspect of my life and such a huge part of my life, because I prepped for the campaign, I'd say a year in advance. I did prep on it, and then I ran it for 2 groups concurrently for a span of over 5 years. And then it was like, that's 6 years. Like, 6 years of my life were Odyssey of the Dragonlords, discussing it, debating it, rewriting it, studying it, living it. You know what I mean? To this day, like, some of the NPCs, especially Kyra, Valis, the 4 surviving gods. Like, I get sad. I get sad thinking about them. I get sad thinking about what they went through, what they've been through. They're not real. Do you know what I mean? But like, I I was so emotionally invested in understanding this adventure that I felt was so beautiful and so interesting, but never really explained in a way that would make it interesting. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everybody just felt like they were like a two-dimensional character showing up and leaving. And when I really dug into it and I saw like the hidden, and I want to give credit to the writers. I maybe the writers did have these things in mind, right? When they designed everything, but they at no point made it known, right? But like to see like, why is Valis the way she is? Why is Kyra the way she is? Or Kira the way she is? Why is Pythor the way he is? You know, why is Vulcan such a fucking mess? Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those things that like, if you're an old enough person and you've experienced like loss, right? If you've lost your mother, if you've lost your wife, right? If you've had this, like, you're gonna immediately connect with these characters more because they're driven by grief and loss. But if you're a younger person who hasn't had any, you know, real bad shit like that happen, you're gonna be like, damn, these guys are idiots. These guys suck. Like, why do these guys suck so hard? Because you've never been decimated by grief. You know what I mean? And those are characters that have been defined by their grief and their loss. And I don't know if the writers were like, no one should have to explicitly be told that. They should just know, because we're older guys that have been through it. You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like the younger GMs especially are just like, I hate the Four Gods. They're so stupid and worthless and they suck. And like, I understand trying to make the player characters like feel better than the gods, but like, wow, pathetic. And it's like, they're not pathetic. They're just they're prisoners. They're prisoners of their own grief. Why did the writers just give them one fucking line, one sentence to say these guys are pretty fucked up and here's why, and that's gonna show in everything they do? Nope. They just
when I wrote this like point of characterization of NPCs, I was thinking of how you characterize them, and I honestly, Crash, think you have developed like Kira and Kyra more than the writers have. I think there may have been some ideas there, but I think your storytelling around like Kyra being a survivor and like kind of linking in her ability to move past it in a lot of ways, or to be supported by the player characters in working through that trauma and growing from it, is I just don't see that as being something the writers considered. Like on my read through, I think you've given a lot of credit where credit's due, but I think you also deserve a lot of credit for your contributions to the characters and your consideration.
All right, so what questions are most asked? So you looked over the whole like Discord community, and did you also look at the Q&A from the Odyssey of the Dragonlords plus the Viking stuff 2024 cash grab Kickstarter campaign? Oof, that's a lot to say at once. It's like an anime title. Yeah.
I did look at that. I did like a little kind of survey and notes and stuff like that. I also looked at a lot of the pings of questions and things like that. But I watched like I watched almost all of the interviews with the writers. And my impression was that they weren't thinking as deeply as I was or you did about the campaign in a lot of ways. When I like listened to what's the guy called? I forget his name. He's always the one in the interviews. It's James Olin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, when I'm like he's got nifty ideas, and I'm just not sure if he's being forthcoming and just not wanting to publicly talk about the deeper ideas.
Right.
But like, because like maybe he wants people to develop their own ideas, but I think of him as like a space maker now as a developer. Like he kind of creates this interesting like content with these interesting narrative hooks or themes, but it's spacious for the game master to play around with.
Yeah, and that's definitely the vibes I got from Curse of Strahd. Also, I do feel there are a lot of parallels between the two, where the bad guy from the very start. The bad guy is untouchable. Politically, religiously, power level wise, right? The bad guy is aware of you, but doesn't take you seriously, and is would never insult their own honor by taking such weaklings seriously. ... Pride is their downfall. Now you're too strong. What are we going to do about it? Kind of thing. Like, I definitely get it. You also, in Curse of Strahd, you have to travel around and find the means to take down the bad guys who everybody knows about, but no one's strong enough to deal with before it's too late. ... Right? And the same thing in Odyssey. Like, so there's definitely those parallels between the campaigns, and they're also like gated sandboxes. Though I do feel Curse of Strahd is just there's no gates. The only gates is death. Like you could definitely just go to Baba Lasagna at level 2 and just get killed. There's nothing stopping you, I guess. Whereas Odyssey is gated sandbox, right? So you could get these in any order. Okay, now you can do this in any order. Okay, now you can do this in any order. Now you can do this in any order.
Yeah.
Okay, and now it's linear to the end. And so like I think it's just really great design. You could build Curse of Strahd in the same way, but I don't feel like it's explicitly designed in a gated sandbox like Odyssey is. But any campaign that is a sandbox, right? It definitely is going to be open to a lot of interpretation by the GM, by the group, and that dynamic, right, of what they do and how that affects the rest of the world and all that. And that's hard to think of everything that you could possibly need. And then also at the time, like, printed books were still a thing when they did Odyssey of the Dragonlords. And so it was like, well, we're already at almost 600 pages, guys. Like, we just can't go any harder. You know what I mean? We can't go any harder. And I think that they're old school enough that they didn't think of any like future proofing or like modern solutions, right? So like they could have had the core adventure be a printed book. It's 580 pages, whatever. But then they could have had DLC supplements, right? They could have had
post-battle Mitros content as DLC.
Yeah, well, they could have just had like PDFs that you could buy that had additional content, right? So they
like
could,
other islands and stuff.
Yeah. Like, does your game want more? Here's stuff that, cutting room floor stuff. Like, here's some ideas for making chapter 5 more interesting. Here's some ideas for making chapter 6 more interesting. Like, you don't have to. The game's already huge. But if you wanted more, we did have these ideas, and they are available. Like, I think that's kind of cool. Like, that would have been a cool way to do it. But a lot of times people are obsessed with like keeping that page count in a affordable range for print. And like, it's 2026. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many people are really buying the books of adventures if they don't have to? Like collectors, sure. Book loving people, I guess. But like, you could get away with not having a printable version of something like
I don't need Curse of Strahd to run it now with Pyram Kings, like, guys, right? Like with the VTT maps and everything, like, it's like going to the book is less efficient than going to my Foundry world and like looking at the imported compendiums of journal notes for things, right?
So here you have Lunch Break Heroes. I did use a lot of Lunch Break Heroes stuff. I think for Lunch Break Hero is for Curse of Strahd. I signed up for their Patreon during my Curse of Strahd prep to get access to some of their stuff, because this guy and his team, they have ideas. And much like me and other GMs, not all the ideas are great, but they're appreciated. You know what I mean? Like, he looks at things that just don't make any sense or that fall flat, like Birthday Cake Strahd or whatever that shit was, right? And they try to lift it up, they like, he very much like goes like room by room, encounter by encounter, and he's like, okay, this is fine. You can leave this alone.
But like, every idea I have is great.
but this is terrible, and we're gonna do this instead. And if you look at my Curse of Strahd maps, like even the Benios maps, I have these big yellow caution sign stickers that I slap on any room that has Lunch Break Heroes edits on it. And so, because it's a big game, right? So if I come to a section months after I've prepped it or a year after I've prepped it, I'm not going to remember what was going on. So if it's like room 27K and it's got a big old stamp on it, I'm like, oh, that's actually the Lunch Break Heroes Castle Ravenloft. So I go to that entry instead of the raw entry, and it's like, you know, we run that content, because I'd say like 75% of the time, like his idea for something is better than the core adventure's idea for something. Like, like he definitely benefits from the hindsight 2020 consulting service of like taking something else and making it better. But he had a lot of original content too. Like he had the Dampier stuff, right? Like I don't know if he's,
so like
I don't know, is he the
a lot of his
inventor
content
of the Dampier stuff? I think he is. I think he's the inventor
like
of the Dampier
I think
stuff.
the Binding of Vampire was like one of the things that he popularized, probably. I think it had been done a few times before.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
like
yeah. That was, I think that was his strongest work. He also did Mandy Mods did the Mandy Mods did the orphanage one, which was really good. Like she did a complete side quest adventure, like full production value of that. So it wasn't just, oh yeah, one kid's possessed, shrug. That's it. That's the adventure. But his stuff is really good too, and I like it.
Yeah. So like their approach, like this is more me talking about like the meta commentary about like, okay, if I'm making Odyssey content, would I go with their model, right? And obviously I don't have the team to do this, but it is an interesting approach, right? In terms of like he makes these small short-term videos to kind of lure people in that are great, but then his guides are Patreon exclusive. So you can watch the videos, but the like actual written content and like stat blocks and stuff are behind the Patreon, which is like one approach to it.
No, I'm noticing that more and more, like if there's good content for a campaign and it's behind a Patreon paywall, if it's good enough for that campaign, I will be on that Patreon until that campaign is over. Like you know, the minute I stopped running Curse of Strahd, I dropped like 5 different Patreons. And you know, I felt bad about dropping Benios, because Benios really, he did some heavy lifting for me.
Benios is amazing.
And you know, he sent like things like, hey, you know, you're leaving, and it's just like, yeah, you know, like don't really need 3D maps anymore, or, you know, like it's over, but it was great, you know, like, it's, oh, you could stay for a discount. And I'm like, I'm never gonna use this again. It was good while it lasted. Kobold GM has exclusive high quality maps for a number of Pathfinder campaigns, and initially they were giving that shit away for free, and then they were making like Foundry tutorial videos. That was their thing. And then they, like all people in the Foundry land, realized that's not a sustainable practice. You can't make tutorials for a program that changes every 3 weeks. So they moved into running paid games. They're a paid GM. And then since they were running paid games, they wanted quality assets for their games. And so they started making these series, like you're talking about right here, with maps of the campaigns that they were running. And then that's behind a Patreon wall. And so, yeah, it's a strong business model. I think I see where you're going with this. I think I see where you're going with this. I am a flighty Safari Zone Pokemon though, so I'm eyeing the tall grass pretty hard, because what you're doing here sounds like a good, successful business idea that would be beneficial to everyone. And so
Yeah.
instinctively, I'm nervous about it because I hate success. So, but please keep going.
Yeah. So when and like obviously I've been working. This is my, like a screenshot of my like InDesign work that I've done for Regia based off of some of your comments, some of the other Odyssey stuff to be like, what the hell is going on this location? And if we were to compile it into some type of guide, right?
Yeah.
Like, so this like talks about the arrival of Dragonlords, the first war, the binding, because there's a whole lot of stuff in there where it's just like what's going on with the timeline with Narcissus.
Yes.
Because the timeline with Narcissus really doesn't make a lot of sense with regards to the start of the war and when Carpathos is around. So I think and like Damon helping to Calliope to like bind them in the tombs, I think is a really like important thing. And then how is Luthieria involved? Like this entire like intro could be a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And what you did in Odyssey, where you're like, no, Prime, you need to go to Aresia early to like clean the waterway because you upset Queen Helen at the Great Games.
Yeah.
When I thought about that, and was like, this is going to make the post-game content so much better. Because what reason do you have to go to Aresia in the base module?
And there's already barely anywhere to go on this Odyssey on a map full of unlabeled islands to begin with. And then one of the most interesting places is like post-game Kickstarter fluff. Yeah.
That apparently is in open war with Mitros for the past 500 years.
Yeah, a defining element of the entire campaign world. Yeah. Can I read this timeline? Like, what do you have DA standing for?
So this is DA is before the Oath of Peace. So it's some Latin phrase like De Dentis Avante or something, which is like before Oath or something.
Okay.
And then CE is common. I forget what it
common
was.
Era.
Common era.
Okay.
Why don't I grab it a little bit better for you though? But I've been playing with this.
I mean, I can read it like on screen as it is. But I'm seeing how it matches up to the one Mythic Odyssey forced me to write. I've never had a group so invested in lore than that group.
Yeah.
And big for Sibo's player Ari that like he made his character was spec'd only for lore, about the campaign world. It was incredible.
Yeah. So a lot of this comes from let me look here. Is it Carpathos? I need to give proper credit here because like this is based off of some existing content from the like.
Is this Better Aresia? Like, because that's a good one. I don't know if it's called Better Aresia.
No, it's like Let me look at this here.
I know Tom Chick made one for Aresia that I thought was very strong.
I think that is close.
Oh, did I just call out his government name? Was I not supposed to call it his government name?
It's Octoblivion.
Okay.
Aresia and the Founding of Regia by Octoblivion.
I wonder if Octoblivion is this Tom guy, because the document that I'm looking at right now, it's just titled Aresia.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Yeah, and then Tom Chick, he's got comments on there. I Am Mr. V is here. I Am Mr. V on October 30th said Hexia could make sense in that she wants to get back together with Pythor to continue the Dragon line. Is this the document?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is. Yeah, because so like he has some stuff about like the last clutch of Dragon's Age being like stolen. That like some dragon ever bore. So I'm like, maybe there could be some story here if they're stealing a last clutch of dragon eggs.
And he ran a flashback game about the founding of Aresia.
Yeah. Yeah,
I do love the flashback games, the
Mhm.
flashback sessions, like opening the campaign not with like level 1 heroes, but with like level 10
Yeah.
Dragonlords going into Praxis, right? In your first session of the campaign is you
Yeah.
play as these 4 heroes fighting Sidon, and you only do like 3 rounds of combat, and then you cut,
Mhm.
and then you cut, right? And then you start
Yeah.
the actual campaign with their real characters and their level 1 scrubs, and then they've seen what's capable. Like a lot of video games do that, where you start the game with your level 50 build and you're doing 10,000 damage per swing with Excalibur,
Yeah.
and then in the next scene you're in rags on a beach somewhere and you've got nothing. Like
Mhm.
that. The groups that ran those flashbacks, fuck yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like the flashbacks could be explained a number of ways. One, it could be a thing with Kyra's bardic magic, like she tells a story so good
Mhm.
that you live the story. I think that's strong. That's super strong. If the group's
Yeah.
not into Kyra, you could do like a Lotus Switch angle, since time and all that.
Yep.
Where she's been in their dreams or whatever, sending them collectively into these things. Or dreams, it could be Lutheria showing them the past. And in that case, they start to doubt all the flashbacks' authenticity. You know what I mean? Though technically you should be doubting it no matter who's showing it to you, because all 3 of those women are fucking liars. So like, yeah.
Can I tell you my great amazing idea for Risha?
Go for it.
So Carpathos' family are the first settlers to arrive to Thylea unscathed due to the palladium being on their ship. The artifact that like keeps their gates safe.
That turns the city into a giant robot.
Yeah, because like in the base module, it's like you can take this and put it on your ship for these bonuses. And I'm just like, oh, someone sailed here with this. Right? And so I thought that was like a good idea. But I also had like a few ideas for like Calliope as Narcissus' daughter, because she isn't affected by the curse of Lutheria. So like there could be some like bloodline stuff going on there for who becomes vampires and not. And like the love triangle between Damon and what's the dragon's name? Janessa, and then her dragon is Narcissus, right? So there's Janessa, who's like a named once in the original module, Dragonlord. And so I have her as being Narcissus' rider, and there's kind of like a little love triangle with like her and Narcissus and Damon going on.
Is it a love triangle, or is it like a throuple?
They're competing for her.
Okay,
essentially.
So love triangle. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Narcissus is completely vain a little bit, and like when he becomes like a god, it's different, of course. Spoilers, obviously, for Astarion and things like that. But yeah, with my notes for like Orisha here, I've like been trying to get this timeline to work, but a lot of the details of the original modules like either require changing to make it work, or like I've been trying to make the original module work with things.
Okay, so you're trying to enhance and improve without just bulldozing and building something new.
Yes, exactly. Gotcha. I'm trying to like make it so that like if someone reads the book and says something, and then that like my content doesn't necessarily contradict it, but maybe the DM can be like Obi-Wan Kenobi and be like, what I said was true from a certain point of view.
Right.
Like I'm willing to stretch things, but maybe not like break established lore if it's too much. And I think like what could be really strong here is like thinking about like the Pyram King videos and stuff, is like having these lore dumps before these locations or the DM and figuring out how to weave that in, right? As I go through. But yeah, it's also really nice to have all the like the fonts and the ability to make this look like the original module. Like, I put a lot of work into like figuring out what the fonts are.
And what program are you using to format?
I'm using Adobe InDesign right now.
Okay. I mean, that's the industry standard. That's the top of the top. That's the best.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And like I recognize that not like a lot of the artwork is mine and stuff. But some of it is like public domain. But like I have concerns about like things like, oh, what if I like what if people are like, oh, you shouldn't have this content, or you can't share this. This is like proprietary to Arcanum Worlds. So I think navigating that is a bit scary.
It is tricky because in the early days of the Odyssey Discord, you know, I was like, hey guys, I made tokens. They pop out of the frame. No one's ever done this before. It's pretty cool. Check it out. And everyone's like, oh shit. Yeah. Can you teach us how to do that? I'm like, yeah, here you go. And then we started as a community. We made a fuckload of tokens. We made a lot of tokens. We didn't ask any permission to anybody. We were just like, here you go, tokens. And then there was that one Greek themed one. I can't remember the name of it. That came out around the same time as Odyssey. And they were like, that's art from our project. You cannot do that. You cannot have any of that stuff. And then we had to take it offline. Like a lot of the tokens and everything. And I just took all my tokens offline. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to deal with it. Like it is what it is. And yeah, it really just depends. I mean, you like reproducing the look of the book, right? If you took any elements out of the book and then used it to build your template and then you monetize it in any way, they could be like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even if it's as silly as you remade this very common Greek border or got one off of like a site like free pick or something like that looks exactly the same, you could at least say, no, it just looks the same, but it's not. I didn't actually take your assets and like lift them.
I've definitely taken the assets of like the borders and like copied and pasted them, and like I have a folder with. So the borders are by chapter, by the way.
Right.
There's a unique pair of borders for odd and even pages for each chapter, and I like have them all labeled and stuff, so I could like.
It's a beautiful book. You know what I mean? And it's laid out beautifully, but it's not written beautifully.
Yeah.
Like there's really no cross referencing. And often it felt like a first edition 6-book Pathfinder adventure where they divided the book into like 6 parts and a different team wrote each part of the book, and they didn't stop to be like, hey, what did yours say? Yeah. There's a lot of times where they're like, and then this happens. It's like, that's not what that character would do based on all the things that character's already done throughout the book, but okay. Yeah, and just weird stuff like that, where it's like this person wrote the NPC this way to match the adventure they're trying to have, and it doesn't match up with anywhere else, or they reference lore that's incorrect compared to like lore somewhere else. I mean, God, just the history of the world makes no sense. That's why I made it a plot point that the 5 gods and the Titans were in agreement that history should remain a mystery. Like that they went out of their way. And I went so far as to say that long-lived races like the elves and the dwarves and stuff like that were either gone or closely monitored, right? Because like they're old enough to remember the truth of things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But to me, that felt like the only way to cover for all of the inconsistencies in the written history and the written lore of the world was to be like, well, they want it like that. Like the gods themselves, they want you to not know exactly what's going on. And that makes sense. They've got secrets to keep.
Or it's like written into the oath of peace that those secrets can't be revealed, right?
Right. And maybe the oath is so strong that it muddles people's thoughts about history at the same time. Like
I mean, Balmetria literally does that with one of the epic paths, right? To hide them from Lutheria.
Yeah, like so they're a warping of like reality and thought to kind of keep these secrets held. What's interesting to me is like it never, and you correct me if I'm wrong, it never in the book says like why the Titans agreed to like the secrecy aspect of like the oath. My interpretation was they didn't want to look weak. Right? They didn't want people to know that you could steal divinity like that. That's basically why it had to be a secret. It's like they were like, okay, bitch, you got us. But we can't tell anybody about this.
Like, well, yeah. Well, it's very much Greek mythology of like Kronos like eating all of his kids and then like Zeus escapes, right? The idea of like taking your other like the main idea about divinity in Greek mythology is that like the strong can like seize it, right? You see that in
from those that came before them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so like 100% like Sidon and Lutheria are trying to consolidate power, and that's what they were doing in the War of the Titans with their siblings, right? Like Sidon like was very, and I think Lutheria were very plotting and intentional to try to like take their siblings' divine sparks. In my lore, holding more than one spark of divinity makes you mad, which is why Lutheria is so mad.
Yeah, same, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't do it as more than one with the gods, but basically I had nothing officially written down. Like Pathfinder kids would be furious, but it was very much like defining superpowers in One Piece. You know what I'm saying? Like I had an idea of what the Gum Gum fruit could do, but I wasn't about to tell you everything the Gum Gum fruit could do in case I needed it to do other stuff. So it was like, I had decided early on that someone with divinity, like, you know, a demigod, right? Or divine-blooded sorcerer or something like that, they could have a divine spark with minimal like problems, right? Like it would start to wear them down, but it would take time. And then there could be like a normal person, like a mortal, even a powerful one with a single divine spark, it would be overwhelming. Like it would be like the early days of Spider-Man getting his powers, right? You can hear a fly on a window across the street, you know, you hear a baby crying at the hospital because it just got born, the hospital's 2 blocks over. Like you punch a hole in the wall because you just tried to lean on it for support. Like you don't understand or have the ability to handle the amount of power that has been given to you. And then building up from there, like the younger gods, like the Titan kids, like they could handle like one domain, like zero issues at all. Like that's their birthright, right? Is to be gods. And then like a stronger god, right? Like a lowercase g god, like they could have maybe like 2 domains and they'll be fine. And then you've got your capital G gods, right? Where they can have like 3 domains, no issues. But once they go past that 3, it starts to just become too much. And if you pay attention, right? Like Lutheria's got a lot of domains. Yeah. And Sidon and both of them had a shitload of domains before Balmetria bamboozled them out of them. And so it's like I feel like that created a situation where like they're going crazy from power. They've essentially, like in my lore, they're all related to Kronos, and Kronos is the post-game BBEG. But they have that hunger in them, right? And they essentially the siblings consumed each other for power, right? They turned on each other for power, and they started like going crazy from it. And then when Balmetria, confronted them and she took that stuff away, part of what left Sidon dangerous but vulnerable is, he had like wisdom, he had like crafting, so he had things that were like boosting his mental stats, and then he lost them, right? Like he lived in a Tony Stark tower that he had built that he had no idea how to operate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because he no longer had and so it's got to be like this frustrating feeling, right? This almost like dementia, right? Of like he could remember the man he was. He could remember the god he was. And then she took everything from him. And now all she left him with are the worst things for a person who's upset to have, right? Which is, war and strength and storms, right? And like violence, right? Mm-hmm. So she created a monster when she took those things away from him. And in that same way, Lutheria, she kept taking and taking and taking and taking these powers until it was just too much for her. In my narrative, I also spun it that Thylea kind of saw in her this ambition and these capabilities, and really unfairly leaned on her. And that was actually I don't want to put her business out, so I'll use code names. But my friend Susan Pickleman from work. She's from a family with like a lot of kids and all that kind of stuff, and she's the middle child, and for whatever reason, she's the only child the parents trust with anything. So now that the parents are like old and aging out, like she has to handle their affairs. She has to take them to the doctor, the lawyer. She's got to like handle all their real estate holdings. There's other children. There's 4 or 5 other children who are all capable in their own ways of doing things. One of them, he a big shot real estate tycoon, right? But no, she's the only one they can trust. She's the only child that they can trust with these burdens. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and bitch is burdened. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she loves her parents. You know what I mean? She grew up like Catholic. You know what I mean? And like, there's that obligation, and there's also Catholicism, right? Is she the only daughter? No. Wow. No. And there's that pride, right? There's that pride in suffering, right? That Catholics have, right? Where it's like, I am the martyr. I am carrying these burdens, just like Jesus carried the cross. Like, I am doing my part. But also, she and I are close enough that like, she'll sometimes just be like, it's so much. You know what I mean? And when she would say stuff to me like that, that's those moments with Lutheria where she would just kind of get quiet and just be like, it's just so much, And so like, that's for me. I tried to make her, I don't want to say a sympathetic villain, but like, yes, you know what I mean? Like I felt for her in the same way that I felt bad for Sidon, because I feel like Sidon was the direct result of being dad's favorite and also being manipulated by his sister. You know what I'm saying? Like he was never his own man, ever. He was. There's always, actually I just want to say a few things here before we move on. But I love this lore dump of your world and the world building you've done. I think of a lot of parallels between like Cersei and Jaime Lannister and Lutheria and Sidon in a lot of ways. Where like Cersei is manipulating Jaime. But the thing that I wrote and what I sent with this Forging of the Helm, I leaned into the armaments, which are like infused with Lutheria's madness for when like Sidon tried to like extract it out of her. And when I was thinking of the lore for that, I actually based her madness off of the fact that she has divine responsibilities that are in conflict with each other. So she is the goddess of death and the goddess of fertility, which is like essentially life. Yeah. And so I really like how you've thought not of like mechanical reasons, but of narrative interpersonal reasons for her trauma. I think that's a lot more deeper of an idea and can be narratively explored than my idea where like, the mechanical effects of holding a divine spark can be catastrophic when it comes into conflict with what your other divine sparks are requiring of you, right? So I was like, these paradoxes and these contradictions filled her dreams, turning her into nightmares. Seeking respite, she like goes to the maw to try to listen to it and hear its answers, but it only makes things worse, and that like further fuels her madness. And when I think of like what you're saying in terms of like Thylea putting all these responsibilities on her, that's something
that like a player character could sympathize with, they could see, or they could have experienced in their life. But like this, what I've written here about like these things being in contradiction, that's like an abstraction that won't necessarily be like close.
Well, right,
like
because
something-
you know, the just being driven mad by conflicting domains, which is part of it for sure, and then just being driven mad just by dealing with nightmares beyond the edge of Thylea's consciousness, right? Because her father patrols the borders of the physical realm, and she patrols the borders of the non-physical realm, right? So even the adventure implies that what drove her crazy was the shit she saw at the edge of, you know, at the borders of Thylea's reality, right? It's like, you know, walking those kind of, she's just, you know, Cthulhu. She's been Cthulhu. A lot of players will just be like, skill issue. You know what I mean? Like, like, should have made your saving throw, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I could have done it.
Why didn't you take the 2024 Mage Slayer's feat where you get legendary resistance once per day?
But everybody, even Batman, has parents. You know what I mean? They might not be around anymore, but everybody's got parents. And when you make parents one of the things that drove them crazy, then it does become more humanizing and you know, something that you're like, damn, well, you can't control your parents. And like, when you say that, like when you can't choose your family, where you can't control, you know, you can't choose your parents, that kind of thing. Like, everybody knows that parents have a huge impact on your development, stuff like that. Like, the parallels that you can create with that between her being fucked up by Thylea is also Valmutria fucking up her whole family. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, really, like Scarlet, who plays Hypatia, she was like, yeah, like generational trauma was the villain of the campaign. She's like, I didn't expect the final villain of this campaign to be generational trauma, but here we are. And
Scarlet is such a wise and insightful player.
Yes, absolutely. So I was but all right, what, so this thing you sent me with the Helm of Dark Intellect, this kind of touches on the history of the two of them.
And I link it into a little bit of Aresia with regards to why Carpathos like leaves Sidon's side and why they deflect a little bit. So like, Sidon has this idea he's going to like pull out Lutheria's madness. He like goes and like takes a bunch of Aresians during a great battle to essentially have them be sacrificed before her. But what he doesn't realize is that like Talius has, like, when and he doesn't have the domain of craft right now. Talius has it. Right. And so he has Talius do this, and Talius makes these secret etchings,
like fail saves.
He wants revenge. Talius wants revenge because he's been like mutilated by Lutheria,
right,
and everything. Talius the Titan, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, when the execution is complete, he's got these like marked runes on the helm that aren't visible until they're soaked in blood, and then the blood like connects the runes that like opens a portal to the maw, which like exposes Lutheria's mind to it permanently. So this is, again, like, not generational trauma. This is like mechanical speaking, right?
Right.
Like, why she's mad. But I was trying to think of, where did these armaments come from, right? Which is kind of what Lunch Break Heroes do and Pyram King do with their Curse of Strahd adventures, right? They expand on existing lore and tell you what's the history of these items, right? To try to think of what would have been going on around this time. Who would have built these? Why wouldn't this have worked? Why is Lutheria still mad? What went wrong? Right? Yeah. And that's actually the catalyst for Lutheria gouging out Talius's eyes. Like, she used to just have him like as like a pet plaything after they took his divine spark. But it was this betrayal that causes her to be like, no, I'm going to have the last laugh eyes out, mouth sewn shut.
I do like this. It keeps the villains very villainous. It also it also gives them sort of a comeuppance, but in the worst way, right? Because like this guy, he could have like done anything with the helmet. He could have made the helmet, kill her, and then we wouldn't have her as a problem anymore. But he was twisted with hatred towards her and wanted vengeance, and made things even worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is very Greek myth, right? Where he had an opportunity to do the right thing, and he did a selfish thing, and it just made everything worse. And it also pulls in the Maw, which unless you have a cursed one, there's no reason at all to go to that entire island. There's no written reason at all to go to that island unless you have a cursed one. Which again, I think that going chapter by chapter, encounter by encounter through the adventure, every single area in the world should have a reason to go there, and not be a throwaway because you don't have that particular person in your party. That's just my take on it, though. But some people might be like, "That's fine, less content, good. I want to finish the game."
Yeah, my party went there despite not having a cursed one.
That's a weird
I believe,
flex.
Because Chandris, we were going to go fight Lutheria, and Chandris was like, "Oh, you can go to the Maw to get more powerful. You guys aren't strong enough yet."
Oh, damn. I think I had them go there in Mythic because they didn't have a cursed one, because they were trying to reforge the Titan's Bane, and they had to have it forged in the breath of the Maw or something like that. And then I had the Maw actually have like a Cerberus, like dragon type creature in the center.
Is the cursed one the one that has like 3 lives, or is like doomed to die?
That's the doomed one. That's the doomed one. The cursed one is the one that like they got super cursed. And I think it's kind of open to interpretation. I think the default blame is Lutheria did it. But the doomed one is also cursed, right? Because their connection with Lutheria, and then the haunted one is super cursed by everybody. So like, so the cursed one in comparison with all the other paths kind of feels like the softest curse, even though they're the iconic cursed one. I think looking back, I did a disservice to Hypatia and Scarlet by not, and this is going to sound weird, I did a disservice by not being meaner to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I should have done more detrimental shit with the curse, because being a Medusa is bad, right? But I could have done it more like a werewolf curse, right? Where there's times where like she's fighting, like becoming a monster. Like there's times where she, needs to make saving throws, or she loses control of herself. Like there's times where her power starts to flare up uncontrolled. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Like whenever you cast a level spell, there's like a chance it's like upcast or something, right? And if you do, you roll on like this madness table or like these effects.
Yeah, like I feel like mechanically, like being like, oh, the cursed one is cursed, but there's really no like mechanics for the curse, and it's like, the player should probably pick something cursed, like a Medusa or a Harpy or something like that. And it's like, yeah, but there's a lot of those. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are Minotaurs, and a lot of people are, by choice, not because they're cursed, and some are true-born Minotaurs. So it's like, it doesn't really hit. You know what I mean? It just felt like it didn't. It just felt like, we all acknowledge that Hypatia is cursed. So I guess I did flesh her curse out in so much as she was the root of the curse, and it was working its way back through her time.
Did you have stuff with the Lotus Witch with her? Like
yes.
A whole big scene that you developed?
Yeah. So I did decide, like, what are we going to do to make her curse feel a little bit more than just like, I'm a Medusa. Like, no shit, a lot of people are Medusas. So I did it as a, I did it as she had tried this before and failed and kept trying. So she was screwing with time. And so she was cursed by herself to try and dissuade herself from continuing to try and to do this, to continue messing
To end
with
the
time.
cycle, right?
Right, exactly. So
which is so great that she picks up on the generational trauma as the character and player.
Yes. And at the time, Wanda Vision was like real hot, and like Scarlet Witch was real hot, and like Scarlet is a Disney kid and a Marvel kid and loves Scarlet Witch, and so there was a lot of like parallels there, like of leaning into like Scarlet Witch is the Scarlet Witch's worst enemy kind of deal, like Hypatia is Hypatia's worst enemy kind of thing. That's why they would call her the breaker of the wheel, because the wheel is time, right? And then we also had the breaker of the chain, which is the one who can like break oaths and things like that.
Which
and again,
was Alexi's character, which was one of my favorite characters. So sad he had to leave the campaign.
Yes, I believe he went on to become a paid DM. Well, I know he went on to become a paid DM as his like, I think it's his primary job during the pandemic, and then like a hustle after things calmed down. But I think he did go back and run the campaign.
I'm so glad for him
I think,
that he got to.
But yeah, I loved the idea of doing more with his character, and like the idea of this breaker of chains that could break oaths would be a pretty important character in the lore. And then that kind of led me to like the breaker of the wheel, right? Like this version of Hypatia who wanted her to stop like making herself go through this over and over and over again, and force a kind of confrontation there with herself. So but again, none of that's like raw, none of that's like written into the adventure. It's built off of fun and cool ideas, but it's still left for the GMs to kind of flesh it out. And which is
why I kind of brought up all these other various like DMs and what they've done in Curse of Strahd, because I think you have so many incredible ideas, Crash, that like almost deserve their own like modules, writing, and content, which is something I would like love to support you in. I don't know if you intend on coming back to Odyssey or not.
So like that actually came up, as weird as this sounds, that came up in our Skyhaven game on Thursday night, where someone got a lucky point, and we're using Kyra's token as like the symbol for the lucky point or whatever, and so we kind of talked about it. And Nathan, who played Andronikos, is like, he's like, I mean, it ain't over till it's over. I mean,
he's the fish guy, right?
Yeah, he's like Odyssey post campaign. You know what I'm saying? Like live in the world post campaign. What happened?
I thought I recognized that guy's voice.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I was like, well, I mean, I have notes for that. I also have notes for a like speed run version that's like real, like skin and bones. I don't know if you've seen my trimmed down version of Odyssey of the Dragonlords, but it goes pretty quick. Let me see. Here we go. I'll send you the link to it.
Nice. So this has been like lovely, like chatting and going through this. I'm pretty sure I have not seen this.
Okay, yeah. So
this is great.
Wait, are you attempting to exit because you have things to do? Kind of it
no,
sounds like the
no.
okay.
I just don't want to take up all of your prep time.
These Saturday mornings, it's for whatever I feel like working on, whatever, as long as it's related to TTRPG stuff. But yeah, so the Odyssey speedrun, it goes quick. So level 1, PCs are invited to the city of Mitros to compete in a grand spectacle, combination of the great games and the debates. Basically some level 1 skill challenges and team-based fights. Versi and Kyra recruit them after the event, win or lose because they see potential in them. Versi has had a vision, the world is a danger, her father seeks revenge. Versi and Kyra, repping the 5 gods, feel the PCs might be the ones to save everyone, but we need to know for sure, ... Boom, we immediately jump into levels 2 and 3. The party must travel north to the necropolis of Telemach to attempt the trials of the Dragonlords. And the trials are getting there. Pass through Astoria, meet Pythor and Vulcan, climb the Frosty Mountain.
I think I just corrected Anora's name. It's not an E, it's an A, right?
Oh, no worries. No, I just put letters and hope that they're the correct ones. Once there, don't steal from the dead. CR20 Lich told you not to do it. Level 3, rest before tomb. Complete the maze of Xander's tomb. Make the Minotaur construct to reduce complications and problematic elements. Right? Like, it's not like, I'm Xander, I got cursed. I'm a Minotaur that was racially persecuted.
Is that in the original module?
No, so
it's Xander?
The Minotaur is like
Graxus or something.
He's like
right?
he's like a eternal slave. Like,
yeah,
it's real bad. Like, he was like bound by oaths to like watch the tomb against his will or some shit. And I don't know. It was like, it's really bad. It's really bad. He's gone crazy from it, and this, that, and the other thing. Zasher's ghost judges them worthy, tells them they must. Xander's ghost judges them worthy, tells them they must retrieve the Ultros, last known descendants, blah blah blah. So then they just immediately head over there. We've cut out Mithril Forge. We cut out teenage cannibal orgy. All that's killing babies. Goodness. Like, we've cut all that shit. We're just going through it. We're just going through it.
Yep.
Level 4, Acastus will reveal location of Ultros, but only after the heroes prove themselves. Oh, never mind, I lied. So here he says, deal with a powerful Fae who took control of the vineyards. Okay, this would be the 4 wins. Have this be one off and drop the side quest for the other 4 wins. So you're just going to deal with the vineyard shit. Slay the Storm Hydra, terrorizing the coast. Pretty easy.
Which also is a EU construction, the Storm Hydra.
Root out corrupted cult operating in the city. Track down and arrest vigilante crime boss. Slay the rampaging boar. ... That terrorizes the western farmlands. So that's the boar from the actual quest, but it's been moved here to be one of the trials of Mitros. So then drop the storm altogether, drop the slave trade, drop everything that wasn't mentioned. Just move on with your life. And then level 5, Acastus tells them where the Ultros is. They travel to the Deadfalls. You could just do exposition if you want. When they ride the boat there along the Lethe River or whatever, instead of having the river octopus molest them, you could just be like, hey, you have visions of the past as you ride down the river. As you get closer to Esther, you guys relive these memories of what happened before. Boom, narrative. They don't have to do any fucking river battle, and you get to the ship faster. Now you're at
the boat. Octopus in the original module?
He's from Final Fantasy 6. Like, he's not here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just like, are you cutting your own content?
I am cutting my own content. Players now have the boat, but now islands don't move. You don't need the Antikytherian. All islands are available except for Praxis from the get-go. You just needed the ship. Why need the boat? Because it's made of from a tree of beloved dryad daughter, Sister Demetria, cannot sink. Why no Praxis? It's stupid. Just have it hidden and inaccessible by a magical storm. The end. Every time
he's the Lord of Storms. He's got a perpetual storm going around it.
Now listen to this. This is where the speed run really takes off. Okay. Every time they finish an island, they level up. The end. Unless the island specifically says no milestone, if they go there and they complete it in a relatively completed fashion, boom, they get a level up. There's no like every 3 islands. There's no tracking XP. 1 island, 1 level. Grind it out, baby. So Fire Island, move the Mithril Forge here, and right, yeah. And who's the heart of the forge, Mr. V?
It's Chelsea.
Yep. I'm saying, bro, this was fucking dynamite shit. I was like, when I was writing this, I was just like, yeah, this is good stuff.
I mean, there's already so many.
Golden Heart, Mossy Temple is here. That's right. We moved the Mossy Temple to the Golden Heart Island. Demetria has plot secrets for Epic Pass. Maybe remove the underage orgies. Demetria, because where's she going to get the kids? Demetria just turns all non-animal visitors into plants and animals. So that's a fun adventure where you get to play as animals and plants. You know what I'm saying? It's a real Cersei Island kind of situation.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So then Island of Chimera, delete it. It's dumb. Isle of the Fates, good, but buff the Crones because their raw stat block is pretty pathetic. Isle of Exiles, garbage, delete it. Scorpion Island, keep. Add Chimera Queen to this island. She's the one terrorizing the Centaur tribes. Leave in the Lotus Witch. She's awesome. Indigo Islands. Make this a fun pirate town so they have another port location to restock besides Mitros. No milestones. Nothing interesting going on here. Aresia. Make this a rival nation to Mitro, another port of call. This island has no milestone. So again, to keep it focused, like it's there and there's definitely lore, but it's not like anything to do because we're trying to keep it kind of focused.
Now that you brought up Golden Heart, before you continue, I just want to make a little note about Golden Heart.
Okay.
I made the hunting thing a competition with the other Titan children to introduce in what I just sent you.
Oh,
so
nice.
I've sent you a document. I also posted. This is a little bit based off of what other people have done as well. But the speedrun is amazing, I will say. But I just want you to look at the image I have of the table of the document where it says Titanborn story integration options.
Let's see. Upstaging a Titanborn. Oh, okay. Story integration. Oh, nice. That's really smart.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably should have sent it as PDF. Otherwise, it's going to be
Titanborn, the mainland, Yala,
yeah, so that's what the other guy did. But these ideas are mine for like when you integrate them in.
Oh, nice.
So like various island locations and what meshes with them as well. So like who's going to be doing what at the Great Debates, integrating like other locations. I have like Chelsea's at Scorpion Island and she's like they're burning down the forest library.
Nice.
Because like there's a note that like the centaurs like they were cursed. No, yeah, into the scorpions related to it. And so I had some like ideas for like what's going on that island. And like Chelsea would be there like finding the knowledge of each tree, like extracting it
pretty cool.
and then burning the tree. So like if they go up to the forest and see like there's like you see a tree on fire and then you see one more tree on fire, the fire's like burning quite slowly, and what she's doing is she's going into the forest where the centaurs like hid their knowledge, like got the Lotus Witch so upset, and she's like casting a spell, taking the knowledge and books from the tree, and clearly she is the key mind feed, so she can remember everything, and then burning the knowledge, so she is like uncovering lore to grow in power.
Nice.
Yeah,
this would have been huge because the Koopa kids is definitely one of those frequently asked questions. Is like, how do they work? Why do they have the same names? Like, how does their power work? Why do they have identical stat blocks if they're all supposed to be different? Like, when are we supposed to introduce them? It just feels like they're mid bosses for Praxis, etc., etc. All right, so let's see. Right, speedrun.
Speedrun.
So Titan's Folly, just drop this shit, please.
Yeah. There's no need for the ants.
Yep.
None at all.
Yonder, just make something up for them to do and give them a milestone if they do it. You can't really defeat this island, but it's good for rescuing prisoners, gathering secrets, assassinating guys before the war.
Yep. Yeah, or his dragon, Arjun.
Arjun, which is, I guess, silver, right?
Silver,
Another problematic element, because it's like, well, he knows that she's very young. He still want to sex her hard, and she's just kind of, I hope you don't. It's like, oh, that's nice. It is very ancient Greek. But yeah. Yonder, okay, Themis, a hard sell in 2023 with all the gender controversy. It might be worth skipping or just making it a port of call. If you want content, move the area of the rock to be a part of Themis. Change the Fang to be a proper palace. Have Darien in the basement. And just fuck the Fang off completely. So, like, I do think that they're, depending on the level of interest your party has, and then the composition of the party, and, like, you could kind of like take or leave Themis. Like, Themis could definitely be another Aregia situation. But like, it could just be a footnote in the campaign. Like, oh yeah, these guys are working with Sidon. You can go there and try to convince them not to. You can go there and sabotage them. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I see Themis as being like Lutheria aligned with
Oh,
what's
for sure.
kind of in the book, right? But yeah.
But
yeah, I agree.
Lutheria is technically going to help Sidon in the Battle of Mitros. Like, it's part of why the writers want you to go down there and kill her, because then it's like one less person to be there. Yet also the writers anticipate you not killing her because she has an entire boss wave in the Battle of Mitros. So it's like, yeah. All right, and then we got Area of the Rock, just attach it to Themis. Garden of Helios. Nothing about this island makes sense raw. The Dragon Slayer is a trash background. Play Helios as a powerful free agent who wants nothing to do with war, but would be willing to side with Mitros if the party does something for him. Retrieve a great treasure from the Nether Seas. Put this in Hezebal's Hoard. Possible treasures are the Tears of the Moon, the Heart of Winter, the Mirror of Night, whatever. Just some random shit.
Something that the party would want, but Helios
that would be very powerful for them to keep for themselves once they had it. Island of the Dragon. Besides being a bad bitch dragon who steals wives, she is also an international crime lord. If spared,
can we pause just for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I just want to note that you're probably one of the first people, if not the only person, to come up with a good reason for why Helios is a fucking idiot and attacks the party.
Oh, you mean how Lutheria was driving him crazy with nightmares and stuff?
No, where he's like wanting to protect his people by like being cursed himself so he can't like lead them into battle for Sidon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you were like, he's like, oh, if I break my oath against friendship now, then I'll be brought down to the Isle of the Oathbreakers.
And that'll supersede any oaths or promises he made to
Sidon.
Sidon, yep.
Yeah. So like that for me was like, because he's a gold fucking dragon, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not going to make the move like idiotic.
It don't necessarily mean what it used to though. Like one of the things of Odyssey was definitely like the color of a dragon's scales don't mean shit, except when you want to be racist to your adopted daughter.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, Isle of the Dragon. If spared and convinced to aid Mitros, she and her network of pirates and thieves would be great allies. Switch elf slaves out for elf pirate minions who are all about dragon boss lady and crime. What about the Kraken? Keep him. Drop the Orbit Dragon control. He will be a fight during Battle of Mitros unless dealt with sooner. He is not required for the island's milestone. So I feel like there's so much, right, in the Sandbox campaign, but in a focused speed run, you just have to kind of like gate off some of the content as like, not this time. We're not doing that. Typhon the Maw, only used for the Curse one. If no Curse one, consider moving Titan's Bane from the Themis Hydra stomach to stomach of the Maw, a badass behemoth monster at the end of Typhon Lava Dungeon. Remove the Incubus Rape Harem and confusing Medusa who knows Moxena? Question mark. Just put higher level fire dungeon here. 3 encounters max.
Yeah, that island is like depravity, and like I thought the underage content was bad.
Yeah.
It's all just bad. Like
I get it. It's ancient Greece. I get it.
Yeah,
but also there has to be like a certain comfort level. In the same way that there's a lot of advice for how to remove children from Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff about moving children from Curse of Strahd, removing like the grooming / pedophilia aspects from Curse of Strahd. But also at the same time, I'm a fan of keeping the rough edges on things. So while I notate things as advice, that is advice for anyone that wants to take it. And that is advice for me if my players tell me in like the session 0 or the pre-campaign survey, I have a real issue with this. You know what I'm saying?
Can I just say,
yeah.
I'm more terrified of running Odyssey than Curse of Strahd. Like, I think
you should be.
Curse of Strahd is just like more black and white evil bad guy. And like, I played a lot of The Witcher 3. And so I like the idea of like choosing the lesser of two evils, which is like a big theme. But like, they're clear both evil. But like, Odyssey content makes me uncomfortable. And I'm just like,
oh yeah.
How do you like give people or give your players the idea that like they can have a positive change, because like what really you're trying to do is present them with evil and like incentivize them to overcome it, right? And when your evil is like a perpetual societal norm, doing that justice in a D&D campaign for providing them the space and the opportunity to like overcome and break those norms is really hard to do so well in a way that is tasteful.
Well, I will say, I started this campaign, pre-2020? Yeah, so pre-2020 it started, right before pandemic, something like that. And the Prime group they couldn't believe it, right? It was narrative dissonance. They're like, there's no way that this many people would support such an obviously selfish and evil leader. And I was like, well, it's a game, guys. It's a game. Just go with it. Yeah. Like, this is what they've been conditioned to do. Part of the oath is that they have to pay homage to these titans. It's just a part of their lives. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. Blah blah blah.
It's normalized.
Nowadays, if I was like, everybody supports this selfish, evil, child molesting narcissist and his crazy sister, they'd be like, yeah, of course they do. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean that's totally. I get it. Like, that's just life, man. Narrative dissonance. What are you talking about? Is this real life we're playing right now? Oh my god. Yeah. So that's been pretty helpful. Silver lining. That's
I mean, everyday people fought for the part of the Nazi regime. Some of them were shipped off to fight in Africa. Just you're recruited into the war, go fight or we kill you.
And it is nice to have a group of players that's like, that's impossible. People can't be that bad. And it's like, oh, that's nice. But they are. Yeah, but they are. Yeah. All right. So then let's see. Praxis, Inaccessible, Magic. Oh, yeah. Magic Storm. Oh, wait. I got to scroll back. Island of Time. More like Waste of Time. Drop this bullshit. Damn, bro.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
All right, Charybdis, a skill
Shout
challenge.
out all the map makers that you did in your Island of Time. Great references. I laughed so hard every time.
I loved Island of Time, but when I sat down to do this, I was really like, what can you drop? And Island of Time is 100% droppable.
Yeah.
And then Charybdis is a skill challenge with crew and ship at stake, leads to Nether Seas, does not provide a milestone. Praxis, Inaccessible, Magic Storm. Titan Island, lore drops, hints about where to find weapons, secrets, power, no milestone. Mirror Prison, make Hezebal a Dracolich, put Helios MacGuffin in his hoard, and the MacGuffin for the gifted one. Isle of the Oathbreakers, Nether Seas Gladiator Challenge, optional boss rush, provides milestone if completed. Tarrasque Cube, super cool, but only really sets up for post-game that you will never run. Could be useful to show Lutheria does things other than wine and death. Do not allow PCs to free the Tarrasque, for fuck's sake. Ultra Loath can be bribed or coerced to dish the weakness of the Titans. Star Metal, Titan's Bane. Star Metal weapons stored on her barge. Honestly, I would keep the cube sealed if you're in a hurry. And then Hypnos, like Dinner with Strahd, no need to kill her, just survive the visit. Props if they do. You don't need her for Battle of Mitros, and unless you're running post-game, it's whatever. Might even be a good ally against Sidon in the Battle of Mitros. I should probably mention, though, that some epic paths may need to kill her or break her scythe. All right, at level 13, or whenever you need this shit to end, the timer goes off, and you have the Battle of Mitros. Battle of Mitros, 4 things: Kraken fight, Koopa kids, Sidon, Angry Kentamane, roll credits, you're done. That's Odyssey of the Dragonlords speedrun. Yeah. So I think if I ran it again, I might run the speedrun version if I ran it again. And I might run it in something like Draw Steel. What do I think about Kentamane as the final boss? I think that it was very Final Fantasy in for me Final Fantasy 9. I played it with my kid sister, and we did the voice acting for it. So we just assigned each other characters, and so we got to play a fully voice acted Final Fantasy 9. And when we got to the end and we beat I don't know, Monkey Kefka, whatever the guy's name was. And we're like, yeah, it's over, high five. And then it's like Space God shows up, and he's like, I was drawn here by the chaos. I'm gonna kill everybody. I'm Galactus. I'm gonna eat the world. And we're like, wait, what? What the fuck? And then it's like, yep, that's what's happening. Galactus is here. You know, from Marvel Comics, from Fantastic Four, Galactus is here. He's never been mentioned ever. Not a single fucking time. There's not a single fucking mention of this guy at all. But he's here now. So it kind of has that vibe, right? So that's why I tried really hard in my games, knowing that he was going to be there, to kind of like say like, yeah, he's a real, you know, vengeful, violent being, you know, and you know he loved his son a lot. If anything happened to his son, he'd probably go crazy. Boy, you wouldn't want that to happen. Yeah, how crazy is he? Oh, here's some more examples of how crazy and dangerous he is. Like, so I did try very hard to be like, you don't want to fuck with Kensamain. And then I was like, well, you fucking with Kensamain. So I don't feel like with setup, it was inappropriate to be like, super ultra mega boss. Does it kind of piss on Sidon a little bit? Yeah. Does Sidon need to get pissed on? I think so.
Yeah.
That's part of why I liked. That's part of why I liked Dampier add on to Curse of Strahd. I don't think it needed to be there. And the two groups that, well, the three groups that engaged with the content all engaged with it differently than, oh, it's the secret post game boss. It was more like, here's another tough end game thing that could be done before or after Strahd. It kind of had that vibe to it. For speedrun, could you cut Kensamain? Absolutely. In fact, I will add that. Cut unless you feel the Sidon fight was too easy.
Yeah. Yeah, narratively, when I thought about Kensamain, I just had it in my mind that in the lore, every time someone claimed a divine spark, they had to fight Kensamain to show they were worthy of it.
Holy shit, dude.
they become like, they're like holders of it, but like it spawns a hand that is like permanently there. And so you could have like hands on the map that are like the sites of where Sidon and Lutheria like killed and or took their sibling sparks. But like what I realized is like the fact that they took their sibling sparks is like a big secret.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of ran it as like, he's like that really abusive dad who's like, nobody hits my kids but me. And then when you stand up to him and you kind of like get him like, I think I had it, you had to get him to half health or whatever. He's like, oh, guess my son was a pussy. All right, good job. And then I was like, it worked for me. I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, like I don't mind. I don't mind the Final Fantasy IX Galactus shows up, especially if it's not like Final Fantasy IX and there is some narrative reason for it and there is some build up for it. Other than, I feel like maybe the Final Fantasy IX team was like, Kuja was, that's his name. Kuja was a cool bad guy, but like, not that cool. Like, you know, think about Sephiroth, Kefka, Ultimechia. You know what I mean? Like, he's following those people. Like, we've either got to like pump his shit up, or we just gotta have, I don't know, Galactus show up at this point. Yeah. And then 10 kind of was like, okay, we're just gonna tell you who the bad guy is from the very beginning of the game, but then we're gonna surprise you with a little twist about that, and then another little twist. And I felt like that was very good role playing, and it kind of broke the escalation cycle of like, every boss has got to be more batshit crazy than the last boss until we have to just bring in Galactus. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's too much. So yeah. But anyways, if I ran Odyssey again, I'd probably try to run this. I'd probably try to run Odyssey speedrun, and I try to run it in a narrative heavy setting. So I would either try to do like a Daggerheart Odyssey speedrun, or I would try to do maybe Draw Steel.
I have been working on a draw steel conversion for the past 6 months with 3 other people.
Oh shit. Yeah, because draw steel is the pacing of a game that I want to run. And when I started, learning and running Pathfinder, people would be like, the game is built to let them rest up to full health between every encounter. And I'm like, that's fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to have somebody in the next room pretend they didn't hear the fight in this with guns and explosions in this room. I'm not going to have them pretend not to, like, oh, what happened? Who must have been the wind? You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like I already run my games in a push your luck style, right? Of like, keep going, but without providing them any benefits. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so draw steel at least is like, oh, Crash convinced you to keep going. Here's a carrot. This is your 5th fight in a row without resting. Here's a gold carrot. I like that. I like that a lot. Because
you
it's
get
already
a lot of benefits.
Yeah, it's already how I run my games, and so being able to be justified by the rule system of push your luck is the style. Like, because right now the only thing you're avoiding is my disdain. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I had my Tuesday group, they had their barbarian end up fatigued, and turns out that a Pathfinder 2e barbarian who's fatigued is no longer a barbarian. So they were like, well, we're gonna leave the dungeon then, and we're gonna go take a nap. And I was like getting the Catholic guilt arrows ready. I was like, oh, you little bastards, you're gonna leave my fucking dungeon. But then I thought about it, and I was like, there is no timer. The dungeon is underneath the town, and one guy can't use his core class features. So you know what? Yes, that is the right thing to do. You should leave the dungeon. You should leave the dungeon and rest. And then I was like, shit. I wonder how many other times the party could have just left the dungeon, but I was like, okay, so you are leaving the dungeon then. And they're like, I'm like, it's fine if you do. I just need to know. You are leaving the dungeon, correct? And they're just like, oh, fuck. You know what? We'll keep going. And but like, they could have just left the dungeon. Like, nothing bad would have happened. Some dungeons aren't really dungeons though. Like a prison break, you can't leave halfway through a prison break. Like things like that. So there are times where you can't leave the dungeon. You're raiding Praxis. You can't be like, hold up, we'll be back tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's one way you can rest in Praxis that I devised.
Oh yeah? What is it? What is it?
The Fields of Elysium. You can go out there potentially.
That's true.
Find a place to rest.
But per the 2nd edition D&D lore, you then have to make constant saving throws or be drawn to the adventurous spirit of the realm and never be able to leave.
Yep.
So
you're pretty doomed.
So anyways, but like overall, I think what you're doing is awesome. I think what you're asking is pretty awesome. And it's definitely something that I have thought about before. Like when I was going through all the different campaign specific Patreons, and I was like, all right, here's your money. I need this shit. Like I need it. I was like, man, there's like a couple of campaigns that I feel like I know enough about that I could provide this level of support. But then I'm also just like, commitments. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want to like, and I hate making content for Foundry because
updates.
And this is what actually pushed me to finally self-host. Was I went to run something. I think it was Kingmaker stuff. I went to run some Kingmaker stuff, and the maps that I had worked really hard on, that I had used like levels, I had made them from scratch, and they were like, I had tested them. I tested them and I retested them. Everything was working. Everything was fine. And then the day came, and I pulled this map out, and it's only like 4 months old, right? Which in Foundry time is 300 years. And I pull these 4-month-old maps out, and they're broken, and nothing works because like I was forced to run updates, and I was forced to update mods, and I was forced to update this, and so the environment that they were built in just didn't support the mods and the map anymore. And it's like, I need to run this fucking encounter, and now people can't see, or I need to run this encounter, and all the walls are stacked on top of each other, or some other dumb shit. And so I'm self-hosting now because I can freeze, just like a Skyrim playthrough, right? I can freeze my version of Foundry, my version of the mods, and never change it again. And if I start a new campaign, I'll be doing it on a completely different instance of Foundry, like a fresh copy, fresh license, like the whole deal. And then that will have its own mods that are optimized for that version of Foundry when the campaign started, and then that will never be updated again for the entire run of the campaign. So if Paizo's like, we've got a new class, it's a good one, I'll be like, if we can't get it to install easily on a test of this world, then it's not happening, because I'm not updating anything. We're not changing anything once the campaign starts. So the problem is, if you make complicated content, right? If I was like, here's like Curse of Strahd, Castle Ravenloft levels map, it's 9 stories tall and everything connects to each other with teleporters and all that, it's not going to work in like 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a year from now, you're not going to be able to use that fucking map. And so like making content for Foundry, other than the most basic, like, here are some walls and doors, I put a couple of lights, even the lights get changed in the updates. And suddenly they're brighter, they're dimmer, they got different radius, you lose the animated effects you had on them. And I'm just like, I can't stand like making content for Foundry and then having to own that content for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like having to constantly update Foundry content over and over and over again. It would just take all the joy out of sharing it with people if I felt responsible for it. Like, I made an app once, like a video game, and I put it in the App Store, and it was cool. And like, they're like, you're not updating your app. And I was like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, you have to keep updating it for like different screen sizes, different screen resolutions, different like operating system changes. Like, it's constant forever. It was like having a child and having to raise the child, not just to college, but like for the rest of their life. And I was just like, which you technically, that is how raising children is for the rest of their life. But like,
I like how you said their life instead of your life.
Yeah, right. And it's like, that's that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to own something after I give it to you. And my frustration with content creation ever since I switched to Foundry is that I feel like I can't do the things that I used to enjoy doing. Like, I used to enjoy making tutorial videos, and I used to enjoy making like content that people could use in their games. And I just feel like so much of like Foundry content is it requires you to support it after you make it. So like every single thing you make, you now have to support it and stay on top of it. And like, people get upset about it, rightly so. You know what I mean? Like, I bought a lot of great Pathfinder 2 content from Pathfinder Infinite, which is just drive-through RPG / DM's Guild with a different sign out front. And when you buy a Foundry thing there, you download a PDF, it's got a link, you use the Manifest link to install, blah, 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 blah. But like, some of that shit I paid $20 for, right? So like, obviously I'm going to want it to work forever. You know what I'm saying? But that means that Jam and Jax, they have like 15 products. So every time there's an update to Pathfinder and Foundry, they have to go in and update 15 fucking products to make sure that they all work. Or else, they've kind of sold you something that they didn't support through its full lifespan. And like, I don't want to be in that kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? But like, system agnostic, or I shouldn't say system agnostic, but I prefer system agnostic for sure. But like, because I feel like now not everybody's playing D&D anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like system agnostic, platform agnostic content and tutorials are where it's at. But I haven't really settled on what that means for me. You know what I'm saying? I've just settled on the fact that I don't want to do that anymore. I looked back at 2025. The majority of my prep time was just spent being tech support for my Foundry. It really was. Like, I hated it so much. Like, so much of my life and my time just became like keeping up with Foundry. And to the point that I opened Roll20 a few times and was like, maybe.
Oh my goodness.
Like, maybe. I mean, I didn't stay there very long, but I was like, maybe. And then people were like, oh, well, you make it hard on yourself. Just run it without mods and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, the whole point of Foundry is that it has mods, guys. Like, to tell me like that's the solution, that's not the solution. Like, the solution was self-hosting, which a lot of people have told me to do. And
Mhm.
and I finally, made the time and put in the work to do that. And I can already tell that it's going to make a huge difference moving forward. I don't know just how much free time that is going to create, but I do know it's going to be a decent amount. I think it's going to be a decent amount of free time. So whether I use that free time to go back to making like content, and tutorial videos or DM talks and things like that, or if I just use that time to do other stuff with my life, or I use that time to just prep even further ahead on my games that need prep. But I'm excited about the idea of not having to be in that Foundry rat race anymore, which is, looking back at 5 years, just such a toxic experience. Like
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was so
Yeah,
bad.
I agree. So like if you were to like thinking about like the Odyssey content that we just talked about.
Oh yeah. I'd love to do that. I've thought about it a number of times when I was running the game, and then after the game when I was dealing with the Dragna content and the Mandy mods and all that for Curse of Strahd. I was like, damn, wouldn't it be nice if I just went through and I was like, okay, let's talk about this part of the book raw, and then I'll tell you what I did different and why, period. And then next video. Like, I have thought about doing that for sure.
Yeah. So like you're almost thinking of like a lunch break heroes type deal where you talk about, the module or like a location for 15-20 minutes, and then maybe you include like your guide as like a Patreon exclusive where you talk about your changes, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like a type of project I would be on board for to support and like run, because I'm doing the prep anyways for Odyssey. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah.
If you wanted to work on something like that. I know time is a big thing for probably both of us.
This is really, like, it's sad for me to think about, but I have no regrets of doing it. And that was Heroic Maps, my favorite map makers, right? They realized they needed to like, branch out. And so they were like, they posted, they're like, hey, does anybody want to like maybe start making adventures based around our maps? And then, we'll include the adventure with the map and the map with the adventure, and, that kind of thing. And like, I reached out to them and I was like, wow, I would love to, that would be amazing. And I did like 2 adventures themed to their maps. And I felt like they were both very good. And I felt like their production value was very good. I used InDesign for it and all that kind of stuff. But like, my day job is so like detail oriented. I do a lot of print layout. I do a lot of like print production, web design, web accessibility, building websites, and social media and things like that. And you have to have like your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and you have to have all your grammar right, and you have to think about what you're saying and how you're saying it. Things have to be accurate. And same thing with these adventures, right? Because you can't just be like, you should put some treasure here, y'all. People are like, cool, what treasure? And then you're like, fuck. And then you have to figure out what treasure to put in there. And if you're like, this is a cool magic item, and they're like, what's it do? And you're like, fuck. And then you have to like put the stat block in there, and the stat block has to follow all the official rules for the system that the adventure is made for. And they're like, well, what about this monster you made? And it's like, here's the stats. And they're like, these stats aren't correct. You didn't match up the numbers properly. It's got the wrong this and that. And it became like very like it was fun writing the adventure. It was fun coming up with the adventure. It was fun even like kind of picking out like the theme of the print copy and the layout and making logos and maps, and like that's all fun, right? Like supplemental maps and stuff. Handouts, sure. It was like the minutia that just killed me. And again, this was before I got the diagnosis that I had been dyslexic my whole life. And so like part of what was so draining about it and so hard about it is like, that's just something like I can't do very well. You know what I'm saying? And so like ideas, sure, like messy notes, no problem. But when it comes to like packaging it for like a rendered finished product that needs to go out to the public and be able to stand on its own, it really like is taxing for me. And like I was already taxing myself every day at work meeting those standards and doing those things, and I just didn't have anything left in the evenings. And after 2 adventures, I did one in October of that year, and then I did one in December of that year. I told him, like, with Extra Life, there's like no way I could do anything in November for this, because it was originally I was going to do one every month, which is fucking crazy. And then after the December one, I was like, yeah, man, I'm sorry. Like, this was a great opportunity, and I loved working with you, and I respect your work and everything you're doing, but like, I can't do this. And it felt kind of bad, because it was kind of like an acceptance of like limitations, you know, because like I have a lot of stuff. Like I wrote Princess Heist. Like, Princess Heist is ready to be put in a printable format and distributed, but like, I don't have the spoons to do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the spoons to sit down and take the 90% product to the finish line. And I paid for like commissioned art for all the characters. Like, I made the maps myself, like, so that we didn't have to worry about getting licensing for maps and stuff like that. I did everything. I ran play tests of it. I just couldn't take it to the finish line. I wrote a B team guide for 5th edition, and then I wrote a B team guide for Pathfinder. But I don't have it in me to like format it into a sellable format. I'm just like, it's there for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so much of the content that I have that people want is the crazed scrawlings in like Google Docs. You know what I mean? Like, and that shit doesn't even make sense to me sometimes. And then, you know, other people are trying to figure out, like, they're like, yeah, so in this campaign, when you did this, I'm just not seeing it in your notes. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's not in my notes. Like, maybe I just made it up. I don't know.
I mean,
like, yeah. And so, it's hard for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna actively like try to push these products. I'm gonna actively try and like create useful, sustainable, passive income that provides people with clean, user-friendly, like, material for my games, for my notes, for my play style, because like it takes a lot out of me to do it. And then that's why my Patreon now just says like sign up if you want, I guess. Because like I don't want to promise anything anymore, because like the last year and a half of my day job has been so intense that like I couldn't imagine having the energy in the evenings and weekends to do any of that stuff. And like I wouldn't want to like promise anything and then not be able to deliver it again, you know what I mean? Because I feel like I have had to break some promises there with stuff that I just didn't find sustainable anymore, like Pathfinder, Kingmaker, for example, where it was just like it was just taking too much. I was getting nothing from it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was watching those streams, and they were long streams prepping.
Yeah, like I was giving it everything, and after every session I just felt like I got nothing back, and so like I'm really trying to change the way I do things so that, you know, I don't get consumed by sunken cost fallacy, right? Where it's like, well, you have to keep going because you already came this far. Like, that's been like a big defining part of my life, my personality, is like, oh, well, you know, you already put in 2 years of prep. It'd be stupid to stop now. Like, even if you're not even if you're not having any fun, you should just keep going, because why not? You're already here. And I was like, yeah, but that's going to be like 3 more years. I don't think I want to be unhappy for 3 years because I worked hard for 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So it's been tough, and that's a big part of why there's been like less content. You know, like I haven't gone back to make new videos for Roll20 because like I contacted Roll20 and I said, hey, I understand you made some changes to the system. I'm the guy that made those videos that you guys were using on your Wikipedia page, you know, those videos. And I'm here, and I'd love to make new videos for you. Reach out and we'll talk about, you know, the next steps. They just never got back to me. Yeah. And I was like, well, I ain't making you fucking videos for a platform I don't even use if you won't even answer. You won't even say no, thank you. Like, they just never got back to me. And all the contacts I had at Roll20 don't even work there anymore. And so I was just like, fuck you guys, I guess. And then I was like, I'll just make content for Foundry. And then I was like, never mind. And then I was like, I guess I'll just hang out? ? I don't know what else to do.
I wonder if you could, like, I'm just thinking about like what it would look like to make like enjoyable content, because like when you talk about like getting to the 90th percentile of something and being like, oh, I need to like finish this,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my jam, right? Like get the thing over the finish line, like finish up, dot the I's, you know.
I've told my wife,
the
I was
T's.
like, if I could find someone that I could trust, because I've done a lot of group work, and I just it always feels like if I have to put in 150% to get 75% from the team. You know what I mean? And like, that's not what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? But if I found someone that could fill the gaps, it would just be like 50-50 split on passive content. Like, I would be like, that's cool. Like, Heroic Maps taught me how to use Drive-Thru-RPG. You know, I know how to like set up the store, set up the sales, put everything up there. We just use that as the platform to sell. If it's licensed, it has to go through Pathfinder Infinite for Paizo. It has to go through DM's Guild for, like, I learned all the stuff. Like, I know what to do, but I also know that I'm not going to put myself through that last 10% grind. And therefore, all these things are just going to sit here on a digital shelf in my personal library. And if you have a Patreon subscription, you might be able to find them. You might be able to find them because they might be in there somewhere. I don't know.
Because like if you were to make Odyssey guides like for each of the locations, would Arcanum Worlds like get a cut, like, or would they?
So how
would that work?
How that works, and it's a very tricky space. Who is it that gosh, I can't remember his name now. I think his name's Dan. Well, I know his name is Dan. I'm trying to remember his whole name, but he does all the 5e adventure supplements where it's like, while beyond the Witchlight, it feels a little hollow and it doesn't make a lot of sense as usual. But he wrote all these guides that are like, here's the side adventure, here's another side adventure. He did a ton of work for Tomb of Annihilation. Like every campaign, he makes like side content for those campaigns. I talked to him about it, and the legality of it is those have to be sold through the DM's Guild because they're official D&D products, which means they fall under that D&D license, which means anyone can make content for them, but they have to sell through DM's Guild and link that. Now, DM's Guild takes 50% of your profits, just 50%, as a licensing fee. The tricky part about something like Odyssey the Dragonlord versus Curse of Strahd, for example, is Curse of Strahd falls under that corporate umbrella of you can sell stuff on DM's Guild and we will, we'll take 50% and everything's good. Thanks for the free money. But Odyssey the Dragonlords is a third-party product. It's not affiliated with Wizards of the Coast. They did everything right and followed all the legal rules of the time to make sure that they weren't getting in trouble and all that. And I'm pretty sure the 2024 content is not going to be published under the DM's Guild license. It's going to be published under the third-party license through Drive-Thru-RPG, where they only take 30% of your profits up front or some shit like that as a publishing fee. And the problem is their content is very much their content. You know what I'm saying? And anything that's not their content is clearly stated under the existing OGL and the Creative Commons that the 5e core rules got thrown into or whatever. So like there would be a lot of tension there, right? If you copy and pasted their adventure into your guide and then you made footnotes about it, you are essentially redistributing a copyrighted material, right? So that's an issue. If you read the entire book aloud on stream and then marketed it as an audiobook version of the book, they could sue you. If you're a messy chaos gremlin who's reading the book out loud while they're prepping, it's just streaming content. They can't really get you mad about it unless it's content that, there's an NDA for or something like that. But all of this to say that it would be a very difficult space to be. On the one hand, they would probably be happy because publicity. Do you know what I'm saying? Because how do you run it? You can't just run it with our videos and our notes. Like, you need the core book.
Now you said that the guy that you're modeling this after
Pyram King.
Pyram King was so good that you didn't even need to own Curse of Strahd. So if you're in that situation, then you are essentially stealing business from this third-party publisher.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to
but he's like in a foreign country, like running out of Patreon,
true.
right?
So you would have to make content in such a way that it always still is like, in order to use this content, you are going to need like the Odyssey of the Dragonlord adventure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like reference the a static link, or like have some type of
right.
I think
so. Like here in your Helm of Dark Intellect, you would have to throw a sentence in here at some point that said, all of this builds on the page 562 of the core book, and 564 of the 2024 revised book. Blah 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 blah. See that for full information, right? So you'd have to have a product that was constantly advertising for that third-party content to make sure that they didn't feel like you were just stepping in and being like, hey, this is Odyssey but better. Don't give them $60 or $80 for the book. Just give us $5 a month for Patreon. So that's the tricky space with a third-party product like this. An official product, no problem at all. Yeah, you just do what you gotta do. Paizo is very like open to content creators, so I don't think someone like Kobold GM or Kobold DM, I don't think they're worried at all, right? They're like Pathfinder baby, Kingmaker. But what they do, what they do is, if it's a map that they've copied from the adventure, they do always provide a version of the map for free. Because
I see.
Yeah. Because they're like, technically, I didn't design this map and I don't own this map. So here is a copy of the map that I made. ... But if you want a high res version, or other variations,
a lot of that.
or other variations of it, then it's on my Patreon.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff where Pyram King has always has a free guide available for each of the sections he makes.
Yeah.
But then if you want the Foundry VTT and the high-res maps made by DM Andy or whatever, then you have to pay for it. And I'm just like what's going on here that's allowing this to occur?
Well, again, anything official D&D, it's very easy to work within that space, because worst case scenario, WotC says, did you pay us our 50%? And then you're like, my bad, and then you do. But third party publisher space is a little bit more tricky, right? Because
the Patreon thing is he has other things on his Patreon, right? So how would you attribute the Patreon fee to just Curse of Strahd? He could be like, oh, these people on my Patreon might be doing it for another reason.
Yeah, it's also about how it's it's also how it's presented, right? You're presenting it as advice on Patreon, I want to say. So they're paying for your opinion and advice versus paying for a module. You know what I mean?
No, it's mods on the Patreon. Bro. You get a manifest link, and you download all the actors, all the map assets.
And all right, so then I did think about this with Benios maps. And it really, in that case, it just comes down to international laws. They're gonna be real hard to go after Benios in Eastern Europe or whatever. Be like, hey, you're breaking American, copyright laws or whatever. So that makes it a lot easier for them there. The other thing is, it kind of falls into the fan art category. As long as you're not making too much money, as long as your head's not sticking up too high, you're probably just not going to even be noticed. They're going to be like, cool, they're building hype for our game and we didn't even have to pay them to do that. That's fun. But if you get so big, right, that people are like, oh, I don't need you anymore, I'm just going to get their version of your thing, that's when you're going to have to worry about stuff. But if you're just if you've got, a couple hundred people, maybe a couple thousand people that are like, I couldn't have run this campaign without it. It's great. I love this campaign and I love this content creator. They made it easier for me. I think most people will be like, wow, free advertising. Hell yeah. Yeah. They love our game. This is good. It's a tricky space. But it's not like a super dangerous space. It wouldn't be like hey, I made this adventure called The Rust Monsters Best Day, and it's only iconic copyrighted monsters that belong to Hasbro, and I'm publishing it myself, and I'm charging full price for it, and I didn't talk to anybody about it. Like, obviously, that's going to be a problem. I mean, Wizards of the Coast shut down a Kickstarter for a webcomic about Dungeons and Dragons where they wanted to make a plushie of one of the characters who was a Rust monster. And they let the Kickstarter went all the way to completion, and they were in the process of getting the plushies made at the factory when they got a cease and desist from Wizards of the Coast because they own the rights to Rust monsters and did not give them permission to do this.
Oh boy.
And this is for a webcomic about Dungeons and Dragons that had been running for many years at that point. And people asked, like, can you do a campaign to get a plushie of their pet Rust monster? And like, don't see the harm. And all they had to do to fix it was just like call it like, you know, a metal muncher or something like that. You know what I mean? They didn't know. They didn't know any better.
And then they're stuck with all the production costs and they have to refund and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So there are some nuances to it, but there's nothing like crazy hard to navigate, especially not with the sort of like research tools and, you know, AI assistants and things like that can, you know, you can be like, hey, I'm in this state in America. We're publishing in America. Like, this is the situation. I need you to spend your time. Give me the most current, you know, January 2026 information about publishing third-party content about third-party content, you know. And I, without even looking, it's going to come back and be like, it's very much in the fan art category. We're like, it's okay until it's not okay. Is really what it would come down to. It's okay if you're not, as long as you're not trying to take their place. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I do think it is possible.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing this correctly, is that you're somewhat interested in this idea, especially if you're well supported in doing this, and that if you were to do this for Odyssey, it would probably be of the format of videos on YouTube to promote like the Patreon, and then the guides would be Patreon exclusive, like PDF versions of the guides, and then maybe there's some exclusive videos on Patreon as well, like the stuff with the Titan Children, for example, or the Great Debates, where it's like additional content where it's like, oh, you want the guide to this and the video for this, like this one's a Patreon exclusive. But it also sounds like you're busy, and this you would have to see how it goes, maybe, right? Like maybe you try, like, we'll do the sour vintage, see how the process goes, and be like, let's just, like, you know, see how that is, and if it works, then you might be interested in continuing, and if not, we tried our best.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to like lock into anything stable until I get a feel for how much of a quality of life and restoration of time self-hosting really is.
I see.
Because right now I'm like excited about it, but I haven't actually started running my games in the self-hosted environment. But if I'm running games in the self-hosted environment and I'm not having to constantly troubleshoot broken mods, constantly fix broken character sheets, figure out why this mod's doing this day and that mod's doing that day, like if it's frozen in time and we're just playing games and I'm just getting the prep done that I need done. I've got World Anvil now to help me organize my notes and stuff like that. So like, I think I am going to find myself in a place where I have more time to work on other projects. And like, I do kind of feel like the absence of it. Like, I was telling my friend Wes, who's RTK, he plays, he was Captain Bubbles, and he was Henry in Witchlight, and he's Isaac in Skyhaven. But I was telling him, I was like, I'm kind of in mourning for like 2020 Crash Gym. You know what I mean? Like we had a captive audience. We had a YouTube tutorial series that was blowing up. You know, like went from nothing to like YouTube partner in like a week. You know, Twitch affiliate. We had fanspo all the time. We had like active like audience during like streams. We had, huge waiting lists for all the games. I was running like 6 games a week, playing in a game 7 days a week. I mean, it was crazy, right? It was crazy. But it wasn't sustainable, was the first thing. And then also, like, you look around now, and the YouTube has become like a war zone for trying to get any kind of views. You have to use all sorts of like bullshit tricks and stupid thumbnails and misleading like clickbait titles and all that. You got to hound your audience like for the views and stuff like that. And the dungeon tuber space is just kind of, it's gotten so big. And then with the OGL scandal and the many scandals that followed, like the brand of Dungeons and Dragons, people have lost a lot of faith in that. And the people that like the hobby are finding alternatives, or they're just quietly settling into whatever version of 5e that they enjoy, and they're just living their life. But even like Critical Role, like the original cast of Critical Role is trying to not do Critical Role anymore. You know what I mean? They're like, we did our time. We built this thing, but we're tired. We want to raise kids. We want to live our life. We want to count our money for a little bit. So there's definitely this like shifting landscape of the dungeon tuber online TTRPG world, where we used to all be playing 5e because we couldn't do anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so we all had that in common. We all had that experience in common. We all had that escapism in common. But now it's like, oh, well, my group plays Draw Steel, and my group plays Daggerheart, and my group plays a different game every week, and my group plays Lancer, and on and on and on. And it's like, it's really cool, and it's good that all these games are getting players and they're getting exposure and all that. But now we're losing that commonality that used to keep us as like a larger community as people kind of spread out. I'm like old enough to remember going to work, and there were only a couple things to talk about, like the show that was on last night that was on for everybody because there was no streaming. The sports ball game that was on for everybody that you had to watch then, and there was no streaming. Or maybe some third thing, you know what I'm saying? And so like if you were talking to people at work, you knew that any of your conversation starters had a 33% chance of landing because there are only 3 things to talk about. Nowadays people are like, oh my gosh, I'm watching this show, have you heard about it? Dr. Vincent's Bleep Blorp? And you're like, no, I haven't seen Dr. Vincent's Bleep Blorp. They're like, oh yeah, it's on Apple Plus Deluxe. It's like Apple TV, but like, for super subscribers. It's like, okay, well, the chance of me seeing that is like 0. And they're like, oh wow, well, it was pretty cool. And that's the end of the conversation. And then maybe they try to save it. They're like, oh, well, what are you watching? And you're like, oh yeah, I watched this YouTube series where a guy tries like 40 different donuts, and he tells us 1 to 10 where the donuts are at. It's called Babish. It's really, you should watch. They're like, what's that? Why would you watch a guy eat donuts? And it's like, oh, and like we've lost that. We've lost that sort of commonality of like I've played this adventure before. Like I also play this class. Like I'm getting ready to run this adventure. Like like we're kind of losing that as the community gets like spread further and further across all these different genres and systems and hobbies, which again is good for the hobby in general, in my opinion, and for the content creators who are making the different systems and stuff. But I think it's also kind of bad for the community in that we're going back to being these very separate like tribes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the tribalism is definitely increasing.
Yeah, so that kind of hurts content creation, right? Because like I still label my streams D&D, even though I don't run D&D on them. Like this stream right now is a D&D stream, and like that might mean that only D&D players are going to swing by, and they haven't made like a TTRPG category for Twitch. Like, so you can't just talk about tabletop role-playing games,
which limit, like, honestly, you might do better putting yourself in just talking, or, like just chatting, right, for like Twitch numbers and stuff, and having the TTRPG tag.
Because I just feel like useful content right now that would actually benefit the most people would have to be system agnostic. Like you'd have to talk about like GMing in general, running NPCs in general, like finding the plot in general. You don't. It doesn't
Which is
have
what
to be
lunch
5e.
break heroes do, right? Like they're agnostic, really. And also, like the guy I talked about, Pyram King, he also has like agnostic Foundry modules that he does. And so, like, one of the things I've considered with this is like the Odyssey Kickstarter will be coming out like soonish for 2024. And I'm like, if I were to get ahead of this and making like guide videos for the Sour Vintage, for the Great Games, that type of thing, like just you can tell based off of how much the Kickstarter was successful that it's probably going to be pretty popular.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think so. And it deserves to be popular because it is a very good story. It is a beautiful world. It's a beautiful story. It's an epic story. But I think having run the story, and I can look back and say it is a story that's strong enough it could be told in many different systems. And be strong in all of them. Like obviously Pathfinder 2e Mythic Rules is made for this. Like it's made for this. At
Draw
the same
Steel, like the resting thing for islands, makes so much sense because you just keep pushing for all the islands, right? You just push till you're at the end of the island, or you got to retreat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I mean, even something like Daggerheart, right? Where in Daggerheart you only die if you want to. You know what I mean? That's like in the rules. Like you only die if you want to. For a game that's like character driven and character narrative driven, like it'd be pretty cool if they could decide when they die rather than a random critical hit takes them out and now you've got to figure out how to get them back because they're kind of an important part of the story. So like it's good in 5e. I think it has the potential to be even stronger in other systems. But I do think, I do think you're right. When the Kickstarter starts delivering, people are going to want to play this, and they're going to go to the Discord server, and it's going to be a labyrinth, right? Because it's going to, by that point, it's going to be 7 years of content that is just sort of like pinned and moved and rewritten and revised. So having something ready for that new group of people, or those returning people who are like, you know, I tried to run it, I didn't finish it, I'm gonna try again. Or I ran it, it's been a few years, I'm gonna run it again. Like that would be good timing to have that stuff. So
yeah, because like your YouTube titles for the videos could just be like how to run Odyssey of the Dragonlords : the Sour Vintage, right?
Yeah.
And then people will be like the Sour Vintage. Because like I see it for Curse of Strahd. There's like competition for the top like 3 videos will be like Pyram King, Lunch Break Heroes, and I forget who the other one is. But you'll like type in how do I run Argynvostold? And then you'll see a bunch of videos that you can like choose between, right? And Odyssey just doesn't have that. And I think it's popular enough that it might be like valuable to have that, right? Like
and also I mean it's a game that I really care about, so you know there'd be that passion angle too, where you know the work would be engaging and enjoyable because you know you enjoy the content. So all right, so what kind of timeline are you looking at? When do you think they're going to ship the books?
I think when they talked about it on the Kickstarter, let me just pull up the Kickstarter because they had it there.
I think
Odyssey.
I didn't even back the Kickstarter. I feel kind of bad, but
I wouldn't have worried about it.
I couldn't get behind it.
Early backers bonus delivered. Arcana Worlds primer. The Thylian gods look terrible. What happened? New art. Where are your campaign shipping?
I'm not sure when these guys are going to be delivering.
I mean, they made $250,000, so, and they had 1,766 backers. So let me see.
Also, I just want to add the fact
that means though that every single backer donated an average of $158.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense because the Master Edition is $195. So
yeah.
That means that there's little under 2,000 people who would feel a certain pressure to run this campaign after backing it at that level.
Yeah, I don't see where it's their delivery timeline.
Oh, estimated delivery March 2026.
Okay, so like 2 months.
Yeah. And you're thinking,
I guess
you're thinking like you look at each, you just go chapter by chapter. And you just go, what's happening here? Raw. What's what can you do to improve it? How does it tie in? Why is it important? How does it tie into other content?
How does it tie into the Epic Pass? That type of thing. Okay. So like, depending on like the location and like depending on how you want to split up locations, right? But like the Sour Vintage and the Hunt for the Great Boar, like that's not an hour-long video. That's like a 40-minute video. Depending on if you're adding in your Minotaur trap fighting pit or not, and or if you're adding Anora into the Sour Vintage.
Right. Seeding her early on kind of thing.
Yeah, seeding her early on, which what I think is your strengths, right? To be like, here's the location, here's everything raw, right? Just kind of like a brief overview of like some of the stuff, but like see the module for details. Here's the stuff we've added, and then focus in on that and why you've added it, and like the background lore, right? Pyram King has this great thing where at the start of each video, he's like, the background lore of this location is this. Here's the relevant lore for all these characters so that you understand their motivations and their implications. And that's usually like, a couple minutes that he spends there. And then it would be like a PDF where you talk about the added content and linking it in, right? Also, I find it really funny that they have like an 18+ version that they promised for Odyssey in the Kickstarter.
Well, when I was making the speedrun outline, it occurred to me that like, if we're basing it on like a shonen anime or something like that, right, where it's like the target audience is more like young players or whatever, like because they're in a hurry, you know what I mean? And so like I did that's why I called out a lot of like the real problematic content, like the most problematic content, or just cut that content, because I mean nothing bogs down play more than a philosophy discussion about the morals and ethics of ancient culture and how that would apply today and so on and so forth, because we did have a few times in both campaigns that I ran where we had to kind of stop and talk about it, you know what I mean, and be like, like how we feel about cannibalism, how do we feel about child orgies, how do we feel about killing babies, you know what I mean, like and one of the most famous Greek heroes, he chop up this baby brother of the girl he was banging and left behind, and threw the pieces into the ocean to slow down the pursuers because they had to get the pieces of the birds to burn. He was a big hero. He was a big damn hero. But hero also meant something different in the language itself back then. Hero just meant you were of noble or prominent descent. It didn't mean that you were a good person. It meant that you were, born better, essentially. But he was celebrated for this very fucked up thing at the time, right, as being clever, you know what I'm saying? And so like, but we've kind of evolved as a people where we don't think that's really the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So I almost feel like a video about that would be good too, of like preparing to run Odyssey of the Dragonlords, and there's a lot of topics you could tackle there.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's so much in like the preparing to run it.
Yeah.
Like I think it's multiple videos. I think there's one video just about like the world lore, like because you have like the first war, you have the rival of the Dragonlords, you have the Titans lore, and what's happening with things with regards to like the divine sparks, right? Like there's a lot of considerations for all that stuff.
Yeah, and then you're still dealing with the player's guide being written separate / before the actual adventure, and having a lot of conflicting information with what's actually happening in the world. So it's very tricky. It's also tricky because the whole like oaths and oath breakers and being cursed by the gods and stuff like that, and your players, a lot of them are going to want to find loopholes in that, and they're going to want to abuse those. And as the DM, you might be like, my game balance, but yet the story revolves around the abuse of oaths. That's like the whole story. The whole plot is the abuse of oaths. So for when I see GMs that are like, my players thought they were pretty sneaky because they outdid the oath of hunger or whatever. It's like, but isn't that the point? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that the whole campaign? Isn't that what ancient Greek myths were about? Being clever and like finding loopholes and breaking the rules. So like, I do think that would deserve a discussion, because I think in the same way that you're going to have a 5e DM that's like, I hate my rogue being able to sneak attack every round. And the designer's like, but they're designed to sneak attack every round. That's their only thing. That's the only thing they fucking do.
But my rogue took some levels so they could bonus action, like throw their dagger, and then they ready their action to attack after their turn.
So they got 2 sneak attacks in the turn. And it's like, okay, cool. That's their class. You literally have a wizard who could change the reality of the game itself, but be upset about the rogue doing damage, because that's
oh my goodness, dude. I was playing in a campaign, and I cast an upcast thunder step and hit saved an ally from a bad situation and hit 7 enemies with it, and rolled my 3d10 and rolled 28 on the die, and dealt over 100 damage to various creatures, with some making the save. And I'm just like, the rogue would have had to attack 3 more turns to catch up.
Yeah, it's stupid, but it's also kind of catching people in that before they fall into that trap, being like, hey, so the oaths, first of all, they don't make a lot of sense. Secondly, the whole theme of this adventure is the abuse of oaths. You know what I'm saying? So many of the plot lines revolve around trapping people in oaths, abusing oaths, that kind of thing. You're gonna have to get your evil genie game leveled up. You're gonna have to have a document where you're tracking any oaths that the players swear, any oaths that they get NPCs to swear, the oaths that are impacting them in the world. You have to stay on top of that stuff, because a big part of the story and the gameplay is going to be abusing those oaths and making those oaths, work in your favor. And you have to lean into that in this campaign, and not let it frustrate you, and have you put on your DM police officer hat and be like, I've had enough of this shit. The rules say this about the oath, so that's how it's got to be. You gotta really kind of be open-minded to it.
It sounds like you're saying there should be a Patreon exclusive oath tracker document that helps you keep track of your players' oaths.
That sounds pretty nice. That sounds pretty nice.
With notes on how they could break their oath, the consequence of that oath. And things like that.
And if you wanted to punish somebody for constantly abusing oaths and stuff like that, you could even accumulate points of oath breaking or oath abusing. You know what I'm saying? And then
just be you lose a fame point.
Yeah, and as you hit these different tiers of of fucking around with oaths, people start to take notice of you. Maybe people are less likely to engage in oaths with you, because now you have a reputation of abusing oaths and weaseling out of them and stuff like that. So yeah, like there's ways to handle it, both mechanically and also through like game, like role play. But anyways, all right, we've been at this for almost 3 hours, and so
I think
I am sold on the idea and the concept for sure. And if we could work out like there's no way to get everything done by March, but like what are the most important things to have ready by March? My thoughts would be the preparing to run videos, and then the sour vintage videos. Those would be the ones that you'd want before the March release. And then what would that look like? Like what would that entail? Like what would need to be done? And then we could kind of like get that worked out just through collaborative document and just chatting on Discord, and then kind of see where we go from there.
Yeah, I think so I don't know what they're doing in the 2024 rules, right? Like I don't have an inside scoop on like all the changes they're making. I don't know what Nethrandriel. Also, I'm super concerned that like they just bought out the mod of the Discord server now. Like that's so scary to me, to be like you hired one of the Discord mods to like be a writer, and now he like could potentially censor people saying that like this is bad, don't buy this. That's just a side note. But yeah, I think having an idea for like not necessarily like a script, but like an outline for a video plus graphics, and for like just maybe the sour vintage, and then the idea of like the guide for it, just to have as a document and be like, this is what we can include, this is what we cannot include. That's just like a starting off point of being like, this is what it would look like to make this, how to run the sour vintage video and written guide. Like that to me is like feasible by March, and just be like, did we enjoy doing that?
Yeah, that's true. And also see just how much work actually goes into it. So
yeah, and be like, okay, and like when the and like also like when the books ship, right? Look at the engagement numbers. Are there people going to it? Because like if it's 6 people that decide to like go and run it, like maybe it's not worth the time, right? But if it's like, oh, there's like 5,000 people that have watched this video twice, and like there's a bunch more Patreon subscriptions, that'd be a different story, right?
Right. Okay.
Because then it's easy. Like then it's not some big goal of like doing multiple videos or anything. It's just a test run.
Yeah, true. There's also the thing with the videos is like how polished does the video need to be, right? If you don't meander, you stay on point, you stay on script, as it were.
Yeah.
Do you just put up the take and you move on, or do you still want to like edit in content? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you want to like be able to say like, at this point when you're talking about this, we're going to show this in the background of the video, kind of thing? Because that changes things also.
Yeah. Pyram King literally does a single click or a single take, like.
And he just has everything ready on tabs on his browser, and he just switches between.
Well, he just has it open in Foundry, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right. But I think for Odyssey, it would be like you have either like your own map or the love, you've some map open, right? It's not like you're sharing the map, so you can show a sour vintage map. Right. And like you could even use the new 2024 map for the sour vintage that they showed everyone, right? And just throw in some token models. Like I could set that up in Foundry for you to make it easier. But I actually prefer your map and use it. I've used it in a one-shot for hunting the great boar.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like that map, which is crazy because it was like a really low-res map, like that somebody had just kind of thrown up. And I think it was maybe the only map they ever shared publicly.
Yeah.
But it was, I thought it was a really good one for a sprawling country inn sort of thing.
and you got the fighting pit and everything.
Yeah.
I would just have like an outline, and like the outline would be mainly focused around like the introduction to the campaign and like a little bit about Kyra. The Kyra Kira thing. You would talk a little bit about the bartender and the people in the tavern. So the people who failed the quest for the boar, hinting at there may be other parties that have hunted the boar, other chosen ones, and then all the like little add-ons that you might consider adding into your campaign.
Yeah, I can see that. That'd be pretty cool.
All right. Well, I think I will, like, maybe we'll just get like a thread going somewhere, or like I can make it in my Discord or channel or something.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's easier.
That works for me too. Yeah.
And I'll just like label it the Sour Vintage and like have the thread, and then we can go from there.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, this was very productive, and also just nice to revisit this campaign because it's been a while. Campaign does mean a lot to me. So
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna continue to do prep on Saturday mornings. Sometimes it'll look like this, where it's just talking about the game and the game theories and GMing and what's next and what came before. Sometimes it's gonna just be working on Foundry mods. Sometimes it's going to be working on a particular game that has fallen pretty far behind on prep and needs to catch up. Sometimes it's just going to be looking at a new system or going over like an interesting video, but it's just going to be miscellaneous prep. And again, I will label them if they have spoilers for campaigns and for the VODs at least, and then I will and the names of the streams, like the topic, and I will at the beginning of the stream kind of talk about what's going on. I may also use this sort of top part of the screen to just sort of have like what we're talking about for the most part, so that people could be like, oh, I should probably get out of here because I'm a player in this campaign and I don't want it spoiled for me or whatever. But there's not going to be any set schedule. So I might be up as early as 7. I might be on as late as 9 or 10 in the morning. And then it might be an hour of prep. It might be like today, 3 hours of prep. It might be 6 hours of prep. If I got nothing going on that Saturday and I'm really kicking ass and I don't want to stop and no one's there to save me from hyperfocus, we'll just see what happens. But I have kind of gotten to a point where I realized that between being a Foundry IT support desk personnel and running some games that do have a lot of homebrew content that needs to be managed, the 1 hour that I'm managing to get before each session is not enough prep. So I am definitely having to carve out more time for prep and get caught up. So, or other projects. So, all right. On that note, I'm gonna go get some lunch. See what my fam's up with today. All right, you too, man. It was really nice hanging out. And to everybody who hung out in chat, I hope things are going well in your games and with your prep. And I look forward to seeing everything that we'll come up with as a community this year. All right, see you next time.